Denim is in demand at Plato's Closet in West Ashley and North Charleston. Get cash on the spot for everything denim. Bring in your trendy and classic styles of gently used name brand denim. Get paid for your denim shorts, skirts, jackets, jeans, and more. We're looking for denim that is blue, black, or a bold color, and jeans in styles like mom jeans, bootcut, baggy, flared, and ripped. We want everything denim. Sell your denim for cash at Plato's Closet today. Plato's Closet, located in West Ashley on Sam Rittenberg Boulevard and North Charleston on Rivers Avenue.
All right, before we get started today, I got to thank Anthony Zazzi, and I meant to do this a while back, but not a while back, but a couple weeks ago. He is the newest on the Patreon team. So if you don't know what Patreon is, that's a way for individual listeners to be able to financially support the podcast and keep the show going and growing. So if you're interested in that, go to patreon.com/bigtruth. And there's 4 tiers of support that you can choose from, starting at $5 a month. And yeah, it's just a way if you want to help this podcast grow, you can show and prove, right? And I appreciate it. Appreciate all the Patreons, all the patrons. So shout out to all you guys. Love you and appreciate it. Now, if you need parts for your old bike or your new bike, you need to check out oldbikebarn.com at oldbikebarn.com or on Instagram at oldbikebarn. They got whatever you need for your Harley, but also your vintage Japanese bike. I get all people hit me up all the time for vintage Japanese parts, and I don't have too much of that. Old Bike Barn's where you want to go. Whether you got a chopper or a stock bike or a cafe racer, and as a matter of fact, they even got categories for those things, so you can search just chopper stuff or just cafe racer stuff. But yeah, check them out, oldbikebarn.com, and on Instagram at oldbikebarn, and they're also like just good dudes, and they do their own line called White Knuckler brand, where they do knives and leather stuff and everything. So they got a bunch of cool shit out there. Now, if you're in the market for CBD oil, and you know that shit's taken off over the last couple of years, so it's everywhere. You don't know what's garbage. You don't know what's good. I'm telling you what's good right now. Go check out Crater Lake Clear at craterlakeclear.com. They use only the best ingredients. They have like processes that are different than everybody. It's all explained on their website. It gets too in depth for me and my short-term memory here to even go into it, but it's fucking good stuff because I can tell you from personal anecdotal experience that if I take that, I sleep like a baby. And it's crazy, and it's good for inflammation. You got stuff acting up, tore something at the gym or pulled something, anxiety, depression, sleep issues, anything. Check them out, craterlakeclear.com. Use the promo code BigTruth at checkout. You get 20% off your order. If you... it's like you can laugh, John. It's okay.
Okay.
John's sitting here with me. It's like I've had a couple of weeks where I haven't done this, and I'm all rusty, so I'm laughing. If you happen to be in the unfortunate situation where you find yourself in a motorcycle accident, you need to check out lawtigers.com. They are a motorcycle accident law firm that was founded for riders, by riders. If you go on their Facebook, or if you go onto Facebook and just type in Law Tigers and your state. So, for example, here in Massachusetts, I would type in Law Tigers, Massachusetts, and you type that in on Facebook, and you will find your local office. That way you can get in touch with them, because if you call the main number, they're going to patch you over there anyway. So you skip a step and get in touch with who you need to get in touch with quicker. But yeah, check them out, lawtigers.com. That's my only sponsor. I hope you never have to use. But if you do find yourself in that situation, hit them up.
I was blown away at how many offices they have. I was looking on their website a while ago.
Yeah.
When we were adding them on your website, and wow, it's wild. It's a huge network.
They're all over the place. Yeah. Now, we're in the middle of summer, man. I mean, we had a couple days of a little brief break in the humidity and the heat, but it's coming back. We're sitting here, we're already sweating. We're drinking Gatorades and Tito's and Gatorade.
Even Stevens,
just to try and cool off. I can't put fans on because it'll make weird noise in the background, and we're sacrificing right now for superior audio quality, even though I just did a big P, like a big P, but whatever. But you know what humidity means? Swampy fucking grundles and hideous taints and fucking bad aromas, chafing, just all kinds of bullshit that you don't want. You get sticky balls, fucking whatever. You don't need to deal with that if you check out the motherfuckers over at manscaped.com. They got a ball razor called the Lawnmower 3.0, and you shave up down there, you clean things off, you get things slick and looking good.
Good to go. I was at a car show this weekend, gave a quick spritz with that ball toner after a long day. You're good to go. Back in the fucking game.
And if you're doing a long hike or something, you put the anti-chafing cream on, and you don't get all chafed up down there. And you know what? And your girl or whatever, your partner really fucking appreciates it because they're not dealing with like a sweaty Bob Ross when they fucking pull your fucking joint down,
Yeah.
But anyway, because no one wants a stinky Bob Ross situation, right? So check them out, manscaped.com. Use the promo code BIGTRUTH at checkout. You get 20% off your order. Get the Lawnmower 3.0 and a whole array of fucking genital elixirs that are, magic that do, they're like magic potions for your nuts. So check them out, manscaped.com, BIGTRUTH at checkout. 20% off your order and free shipping. And while we're talking about 20% off your order, you need to check out Omerta at omertamia.com, which is spelt, because I know I got a masshole accent and some of you can't understand it. It's OMERTAMIA.com, Omertamia. And they're the toughest and like best and like coolest streetwear brand there is out there right now. And a lot of their shirts are made in America. They're printed on American-made shirts. Whenever possible, they're all made in house, all printed and screen printed in house, and it's a streetwear brand that definitely represents the streets. So check them out, mertamia.com. They got t-shirts, they got hoodies, they got socks, they got scarves. I know you don't need a scarf right now, but you might live in Juneau, Alaska, and maybe you need one right now. I don't know. But yeah, check them out, omertamia.com. Use the promo code BIGTRUTH at checkout. You get 20% off your order. On Instagram at omertamia. And if you go to Apple and type that in, you can download the app. I think it's on Android too. I don't know. I have an Apple iPhone, so I don't know. But that's about that. Now, if you're looking for more clothing and you're into punk rock, heavy metal, and whatnot, you need to check out Pitchfork at pitchforkny.com. They also got a record label, and they did the Back to School 7-inch series that had a East Coast band on one side of the 7-inch and a West Coast band on the other. Bands like Murphy's Law, Rancid, Sick of It All, Eulogy, all kinds of bands that you'd be interested in. So you check them out. They got a new New York hardcore 12-inch out full-length LP. Check them out at pitchforkny.com or on Instagram at pitchforkny.com. Dude, I'm so fucking rusty, dude. I don't even give a fuck. You know what? I haven't done an episode in a couple weeks. Just this has been a bad month, so we'll put it at that. And if you've listened to the last episode, you know what the fuck is going on. I'm making no apologies, but we're getting back on track, and it'll be a little bit smoother sailing as we go on. If you're into weird shit, you like fucking the dark arts, occult stuff, you like fucking 70s boogie vans or like weird molester vans or something, or you like choppers and stoner, doom, heavy metal, whatever. If you're just into
all the
weird
good
shit,
stuff,
serial killers, whatever, you need to check out my man Zach's clothing company. It's Heavy, and you can find them at heavy.bigcartel.com or on Instagram at Heavy Clothing. I don't even need to say anything else. They also have a bunch of nefarious wares for your sinister needs. So you check them out over there. Zach's a fucking awesome dude, and I love doing these commercials for him. If you are into motorcycles and want to get more information on events or fucking anything related to chopping motorcycles, choppers, fucking moto biking, just in general, you need to check out Chop Cult. They're the biggest information clearinghouse and online message board and basically online community there is for motorcycles. Check them out at chopcult.com or on all their social media, simply at Chop Cult. They got online message boards that's broken up by topics, so you just search the topics that you're interested in. They got a events page that has motorcycle related events going on all across the world by date and location. You can search by either. They have a swap meet where you can buy, sell, or trade parts and or motorcycles or motorcycle parts or whatever it is that you want to sell. It's just they're a staple in the community. If you don't know about them, then now you do. You got no excuse. It's absolutely free to join. They don't ask for your credit card or any of that bullshit, so just go check them out at chopcult.com. And last but not least, if you are interested in even more stuff, you need to check out Chophead, my shop. We have an online store where you can buy parts and apparel and swag and whatnot. I don't got every part listed there. I'm not an online store per se. You know, I'm a mild online store. Like, we're a motorcycle shop. We're primarily a full service brick and mortar fucking shop. You know what I mean?
You get a lot of shit. It's not like you're a fucking drop shipping online guy.
No, we're not a drop
You got a building full of stuff here.
Yeah, I know, but it's also like, you know, and it's hard to have everything in stock or put everything online. So I got more than what's really on the website. We're hooked up with everybody. So if you need something, you hit us up if you don't see it on the website. But yeah, you give us a call at 508-995-6764 or just shoot us an email. Find us at chopperhead.com, spelt in the most masshole of ways, which is CHOPPAHEAD. And on Instagram, simply at Chopperhead, and on Facebook at Chopperhead Customs. So to make it even weirder spelling, Customs is spelled with a K. So it's CHOPPAHEAD, KUSTOMS. And if you want more information on the podcast here, check out Big Truth Podcast, and definitely check out the Patreon if you want to help support. And without further ado, we're going to jump into today's episode right the fuck now.
Sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have a liftoff.
Yes, once again, we have liftoff. I want to thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Big Truth Podcast. Or I don't even know if you really say tuning in on a podcast.
Who knows?
Just listening. You're listening to this episode, however the fuck you're listening to it.
However you listen to the programs.
We thank you. We want to thank you for engaging with our programming content today. But yeah, I'm here with my boy John Stairs from Topics Under the Stairs podcast, Revival Motoring. He's a graphics extraordinaire. He does all the graphics he does a lot of the Chophead graphics, and he does all the graphics for the podcast. So, you know, if you've seen any of our episode art, you thank John, right? But John, what's happening, man?
No, nothing really, man. Happy to be here. It's a fun time.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a lot of fun. I was on John's podcast, John and Ryan, co-host, good dude. I don't remember when. It was winter, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a few months back. I'd say it was probably middle of winter, yeah.
And you gave me the main takeaway is that you gave me a mezcal that was distilled through goat intestines.
Yeah. We had a dude on. Big shouts to our buddy Jake that owns Tallulah's Taqueria. If you're into Mexican food and want some street tacos in Providence, he came in as a guest and brought us some mezcal. It was like a lamb carcass distillery or some shit. I don't know. He was telling me all about it. I don't really remember much because I was drinking it, but it's pretty good stuff.
It was good. I mean,
real smoky flavor.
If you've never had mezcal, just think of tequila that was made on a smoker.
Yeah, exactly. It's smoked tequila.
It smells like barbecue tequila. Yeah, It tastes like barbecue tequila. It's fucking good, man. That shit was smooth. And it came in its own like clay bottle.
Yeah, all handmade clay bottles. We actually just finished that off the other night. I had a guest who's like was super stage fright, but all they really drink is tequila. So I'm like, this is the fucking best I got. So here we go.
How'd they like it?
She liked it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, she was a fan.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you guys have been going almost a year now.
Yeah.
Right? So what are you, 40 episodes?
Yeah, it's close to 40 episodes now. Ryan and I. So long story short with that, my good friend Josh started Revival Motoring. It was originally like the idea was a print magazine, and he was going to do an accompanying podcast, and that kind of took off and really was the base of Revival Motoring. And oftentimes guests and just the people on that main show would go off topic with other shit we're into. And you know how it is, I'm sure the same with people that are into chopper shit and music. You know, you have a lot of friends that are into different things, but you have a lot of overlapping interests.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with the the European car stuff that we're into.
Yeah.
You know, I'm big into hardcore. I'm big into tattoos. I'm into houseplants, like a bunch of random bullshit. And it was always kind of the joke.
Wait,
like,
what was the last?
houseplants.
Houseplants.
Yeah,
okay.
like
I was
literally
just making-
fucking houseplants.
I was making sure. All
And
right.
that was always kind of the joke, like, oh, we're gonna have a whole revival motoring episode with John about fucking houseplants.
Yeah.
And
no, and I've known that because I've seen your Instagram. Like,
Yeah.
we're friends on Instagram, so I see that you take meticulous care and planning with the forestry within the domicile.
yeah, it's fucking it's stupid. Like especially with like being fucking working from home with all the bullshit last year. I just got out of hand.
Yeah.
And it was always kind of the joke, like, oh, John's gonna have a whole fucking episode about plants.
Yeah.
And then Josh was like, no, like you should fucking start a podcast about like all this other bullshit you're into.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. And you know, he kind of fucking hounded me about it for a while.
Yeah.
And then it just sort of happened. And the first episode was a plant episode, and here we are, 40 episodes later.
Was the first one a plant episode?
Yeah. I have a friend that does you know how like all the thing now is like fucking pop-up shops.
Yeah.
So I have a friend who does pop-up plant shops. She does them at like coffee shops and breweries and you know, all different things. So she's out of Rhode Island, and I had her on as my first guest, and it was pretty wild.
So
Here we are.
a pop-up plant shop must be a little tough because you have to like still care
Yeah.
for the plants, and it has to be in a kind of
So
sustainable environment.
she's way more of a lunatic than I am. Like her and her boyfriend Josh have her name. Check out Botanic Alley. It's Botanic Allly. Her name's Allie. They have it like one of those big fucking lofts in Providence, huge windows in the city. So they just have this massive apartment full of plants, like a big loft apartment.
Yeah.
And it's like floor to ceiling plants all the time.
Yeah.
So when she's preparing for a pop-up, you know, she bulks up her inventory, obviously, but
Yeah.
it's just chaos.
Yeah, dude, we did this was years ago when that first kind of the pop-up stuff started. We got approached by a clothing store in New York.
Oh, shit.
And they did a Chopperhead pop-up.
Wow.
Like, right on Mott Street in
Yeah.
like Lower East Side, like, you know.
Even all these like hype fucking
And it's like-
streetwear brands are doing that shit. It's nuts.
But it was like weird because it was in this like real like kind of, it used to be a neighborhood. It's like where Stigma lives.
Yeah.
Like but it's now like very hoity-toity in that
Yeah.
area. He's
Yeah,
still
very
there under
fucking-
rent control.
yeah.
Like, you know, and
Like gentrified.
They're waiting for him to like die or get out because like, you know, his apartment, I think he's paying under $1,000 for a
Wow.
month to live right down there in Manhattan.
That's
and,
fucked.
And I think the other apartments are like for like $4 or $5 grand
Yeah.
for the same thing. But anyway,
It's like double a mortgage.
It was this real hoity-toity area, and I was like, you guys sure? And they were like, yeah. And they had our stuff there, and I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, this ain't gonna do shit. And you know, I was like, and you know, and we sold a bunch of like stuff.
Yeah.
Like, you know, nothing like it, like you wouldn't survive off it or anything.
Yeah, it's not like you're getting like a ton of customer retention from it or anything.
Yeah.
No, that's the same with her. Like she's had some stuff. She's telling me like, you know, she just went on a brewery recently, but it was like on a fucking weird day. It was like a Tuesday or something. But she's had some stuff where she sells every single thing she has.
Well, I assume you could pretty much do a pop up in any brewery and you sell out
Yeah.
whatever, because you got motherfuckers hammered and be like,
Oh,
give
yeah.
me one, give me
Exactly.
that fucking, give me that daffodil or whatever. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I'll take that shit home, like whatever.
The brewery culture is perfect for what she does because it's like it's just so fucking on brand for like that guy.
Yeah.
You know, and like I hate it. I am kind of that guy in a lot of ways, but just being honest.
Yeah. Well, I first met you through like you used to work at Troy's tattoo shop.
Yeah. So my boy Troy owns Dark Star Tattoo. We had a couple mutual friends. He was tattooing a couple of my friends, and I was into cars, and I was going to UMass Dartmouth. I was going to start, and my buddy was getting tattooed and needed a ride there. And I drove my GTI, and you know, me and Troy just shot the shit about that because he's into Volkswagens. And you know, I was actually graphic design. He needed some stickers and like window graphics done. And I was like, yeah, man, like I could totally do that. Like, I was like, you want to just like trade for tattoos? And I did some work for him, traded for free tattoos, and we started bullshitting about cars. And a couple months later, it was like, hey, you got to go to UMass soon. Do you want to just fucking live in my house? Like we were hanging out a bunch, and he had just bought a place that had like an in-law apartment, and I moved down this way, well, to Dartmouth at the time. And yeah, man, we really hit it off, and we fucking have been, best friends ever since.
Yeah, no, Troy's a good dude. And
Yeah.
his house is like the golf ball house.
Yeah, it's a geodesic dome.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a kit you could buy in the 70s.
Google that.
Yeah, Google geodesic dome house and you'll see it. Like him and his fucking dad built this thing in the 70s. Like you buy a kit and a truck full of 2x4s shows up at your house. And, it's just open floor plan and you can do what you want with it. And they made it happen. And it's been there ever since. And the house, his parents retired to Florida and the house is vacant for a while. And he was really against buying it. I mean, it's one of those things, I guess, I look at it or you look at it like, wow, that house is fucking rad. But it's like the house I grew up in, like, fuck that. Like my parents could give it to me and I'd be like, I don't want that shit.
Yeah.
So he was against it for a while, but he ended up going in and redoing it, and it's sick. I'm glad he kept it.
Yeah, he embraced the golf ball.
Yep.
So let's before we get into the podcast stuff, because you started touching on this, like Volkswagen culture. I mean, see, to me, it's a thing. To me, I never was like into that. Like, and I'm not like a hater, no, like anything like that. It was just never my thing. Like, I had a Jetta for a little bit, but it seems to me like that's almost, people get into that the same way like people get into like choppers. Like it's like, and I know a bunch of people that were like Volkswagen dudes
that are chopper dudes now.
That are chopper dudes now. Like, so there's a lot of crossover in that scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I have a couple friends that are still like both. Like one of my buddies, not a super close friend, but dude I know through car shit, John Strobel, like he's come to a couple of your events here. He's a Rhode Island guy. He's like a Porsche tech, but he's had a ton of sick Volkswagens and he's got a ton of sick bikes. Like him and his girl are building bikes in their garage now.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
Yeah.
What do you what's like the, because like no other car company except for Porsche, there's like a Porsche, there's like a
P-car
weird
guys
Porsche thing. Yeah,
P-car guys are like a whole nother thing. A lot of them are like people like me that like got a couple bucks, and then in general European cars, it's like once you drive a Volkswagen, if you appreciate it like the first time you like shut the door and drive the thing, like I'm not trying to have the highest horsepower car. I'm not trying to have the fastest quarter mile car, but like if you want to like hammer an on-ramp and, have a great time, Volkswagens are perfect.
Yeah.
They look cool, they sound cool, they make all the right noises and they're fun to drive.
Yeah. It's just like, to me, it's like weird when like certain cars or certain vehicles have like a cult following, and like Volkswagen, like no other car really has that.
And
kind
it's
of
funny
cult
because
following. Besides, like I said, I know there's like a bunch of things like Porsche punks and this, and like that, people that are into Porsches or whatever.
But it's crazy. The thing that's so funny with Volkswagens, which isn't why I got into them necessarily, but when you go to I was just at an event last week and like fucking everybody looks like me. It's like, it's all like people that were listening to like, for reference, I'm like 36 years old. I was born mid 80s, like it's all the same people. It's like people that are tattooed and were listening to the same bands that I listened to in high school. Like, like the car people that I meet online that we're following on social media, we're reposting the same like 25-year reunion of the fucking Poison the Well record, or like hardcore bands that we listened to in high school. And and there's just a strange overlap. So it's almost like a taste thing. It's like the design is nice and they feel a certain way. It's like people that have similar aesthetic just kind of carry over to cars too. It's funny.
So, but like, why do you think it's like Volkswagen and not like Saab or like fucking or something? You know what I mean? Like it's
one of my favorite
jokes.
jokes.
BMW or whatever. It's like,
one of my favorite jokes. My father told me, he was in the car business for a long time, and you can really apply it to any fucking vehicle. Is what's the difference between a Saab and a Porcupine? On a Saab, the pricks are on the inside.
Yeah,
it's like
that's the what's the difference between a Harley and a Hoover?
What's that?
The location of the dirtbag. It's the same type of thing.
Yeah, it's the same idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's weird, man. Like I think for me, it's European cars in general. Like I've driven, Mercedes that I like and BMWs, but I'm just comfortable with Volkswagens. It's just like the first thing that I really dug into as far as like tearing it apart or pulling a motor or doing any extensive work.
But do you also think it could be partly, and this is me pondering.
Yeah.
This is the anthropology part.
Absolutely.
Is it because of like the accessibility of it? Like
100%.
Volkswagen is, actually
the people's car.
The people's car, right?
Yeah.
Like, so like, a kid can get into one fairly cheap. You're not
100%.
getting into like a Mercedes or like a BMW that cheap. You know what I mean? Or
And I think there's a lot of overlap in we were talking off air before about, you know, the mentality of love for the brand versus age and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it goes the same way with Volkswagens. Like right now I have a Mark II Volkswagen, which is like there's air cooled and water cooled. So it's like air cooled guys, which are like Beetles and all that rear engine shit. They think water cooled guys are lame and vice versa sometimes. And it goes with the same with the generations. Like, you know, the US Rabbit was a Mark I. I have a Mark II. Everybody thinks everything after Mark IVs are lame and they're on 7s now.
yeah,
And it's a lot of like new young kids, and everyone goes through a phase. Like right now, like Mark IVs are in a phase where like you can get one for $3,000, and all these like dumb fucking kids are getting them, and they're putting those like burble tunes on them. That's the newest hot shit that I fucking hate it. I'm roasting people online about this constantly. Is the ECU flashes that make them snap, crackle, pop on the exhaust.
Yeah.
Like backfiring like a son of a bitch. It's like
that's shit you should be tuning out.
Yeah. Like tunes are great. Like, you know, on a, you know, like an early 2000s car, you can do an ECU tune on a turbo car and get, you know, 20 pounds of boost and the thing runs awesome. But people are tuning them specifically to dump fuel and backfire. It's fucking lame.
Weird.
Yeah. So it's weird.
It's funny, man, because literally, if you take the same constructs and pull the Volkswagen away and replace it with Harley, it's
the same shit.
The exact same shit. You got the guys that like the old shit, which is the air cooled shit.
Yeah.
And then you got the people that are into the new shit, which is now like, you know, like not air cooled. You know what I mean? Like some new Harleys have fucking, you know, radiators and shit on them.
Yeah.
You know? And then the M8s, they got more performance or whatever, blah, 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 you know, whatever. But there's like, you know what I mean? And like the factions don't get along.
Yeah.
Everyone
100%.
loves the product, but hates the factory.
Yeah,
you know what I
fuck
mean?
the factory all the time.
Yeah. It's fucking crazy. It's like,
But then like but then if the factory does do something like wild, it's like, oh man, this is so great. You know, like Audi and Volkswagen are essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
And for many years, it was always like all the UK cars and overseas stuff. They get all the cool stuff. We don't get anything cool here. They brought an RS6 wagon, which I'm not into like supercar bullshit. I'm driving like a fucking 90s economy car. But they brought over this RS6 wagon, which is like a fucking 700 horsepower all-wheel drive. It's like $100,000.
yeah.
But you know, everybody bitched that it never came to the US, and now it finally did. So now all those nut swingers that were like, fuck the factory, now they're like, oh, wow, look at this. And they're all reposting pictures of this concept car and shit. So it goes both ways. And, you know, you start to you go through the phase of it. I've been into it for, you know, 12, 14 years or whatever. So now it's like I'm starting to feel this like responsibility to where it's like I need to embrace the young kids that aren't shitheads. But then at the same time, fuck the ones that are shitheads.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean with that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And you own a business
100%.
with chopper shit. So it's like you want that young kid that wants to come in here and learn and buy stuff, but then fuck that kid that's trying to ruin everything, you know?
Yeah.
So it goes both ways.
But it's like that with anything, man. Whether it's, you know, whatever scene there is, like that you're into, if it's its own thing, especially subcultures and things that stand alone or against like regular mainstream shit. Like
maybe that's what it is too. It's like the music culture and that whole you know, outcasted mentality of just the other shit I've been into in my life. It carries over to that.
yeah, but you become protective of it, and then you know what I mean. And if you really love it, you become protective of it. Like, I'm very protective of hardcore and choppers and fucking motorcycle stuff. Like,
no,
you know what I mean?
I totally agree.
And I take great offense when someone's a fucking asshole or a tourist, and I take even greater offense when a tourist comes in and figures out a way to like really reap benefits and money or fucking out of something, and then they're gone in 2 years. Like, fuck you, dude. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm not hating that they got game or business acumen, but like, don't come in and take advantage of some shit that we all like really. People that really love this shit, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or just people that, yeah, whatever, man. Like, and I don't want to focus on the shitheads because they're a minority. You know, there's way more. Really, at the end of the day, there's way more cooler people. There's way more of cool people that are in this shit than lames.
100%.
Otherwise, the scene would be so lame, no one would want to be involved in it, right?
Yep.
So it's just that, you know. From a young age, I've been bred like to respond more to hatred.
Yeah, 100%.
So that gets me going quicker.
Yeah. Well, like right now, the culture is like, you know, there's so many like with the cars I'm into, like there's this whole new thing within the last couple of years of like, you know, the participation awards and respect all enthusiasts. And it's like, no, fuck that. Like the reason I have good taste is because like when I wanted to do some fucking lame shit to my car, someone online on a forum roasted me.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So now it's like, I want to roast the motherfuckers that are about to do something dumb to their car.
Yeah.
So then they learn, you know?
Yeah, see, for me with the chopper shit, like, that's a big conflict because, like, you know, I'm not online too much. Like,
Yeah.
And I'm not on, like, I'm definitely not outside of Chop Cult. I'm not on and
Yeah.
message boards. Like, I when I was younger, I had more time. Like, I'm vying for time. But one thing I always hated, like, you know, everyone's got taste, their own personal taste, and everyone's got their own thing. Like, I will never shit on anyone's bike.
Yeah.
If they really love that bike, like, who am I to shit on that bike? Now, if they're doing some dangerous shit and then they're trying to sell the bike, nah, fuck you, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're going to kill somebody.
That's exactly it. Like the stuff I'm talking about is like the
Dangerous shit.
is like the tunes that are making the car fucking blow up, or
Yeah.
the you know, trying to stuff a bunch of washers behind the spindles to get ridiculous camber. It's like,
Yeah.
that's the thing. I was going to get into that, but like I was into mini trucks before Volkswagens, so I was always into air ride. So there was like a weird overlap there. Like for a long time, it was like, you don't put air ride on that car. It's a, you know, it's a performance vehicle. Like that's stupid. And everyone had coilovers, so I bagged a Volkswagen like in the early 2000s, and you know, it was kind of a new thing.
Yeah.
And people were super against it, and I get a lot of shit for it.
Sure.
And now like every fucking Volkswagen you see has air ride on it.
Yeah.
It's weird how it all changes. But it was a culture overlap thing. I was into mini trucks, and then I got into Volkswagens, and it just was the right direction for me.
Now, this is when I started to feel old, is when shit like those Camber and those wheels and shit came out,
Yeah.
and I didn't understand why people were doing it.
Dude, it's
What is it? Is it just cosmetic?
So there's a couple things. So like,
I mean, because especially in fucking New England, when you see motherfuckers in Fall River with that, I'm
Yeah.
like, what roads are you driving on, dude? Because I could not drive on a road with that car.
well, I
like
mean,
that.
you saw my car sitting outside. Like I have big wheels on a little car with air ride, and it's fucking straight as a pin. There's no camber because the wheels fit the car.
Yeah.
So there's a couple exceptions. It's like if you have this ridiculous rare, you know, there's a lot of wheels like, you know, old BBS RSs that are, you know, unobtainable now, and they're weird spec and they don't quite fit the car right. It's like, all right, you add a degree or two of camber to make it tuck in the car, fine. But then it became like a look. So it was
Yeah.
like people like, oh, well, 2 degrees looks cool. How does 10 degrees look?
Yeah.
And
See,
it
to
got
me, it just
stupid.
looks retarded.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it,
it's just-
it looks fucking dumb.
Yeah.
And then the stretched tires is the other thing. So that all started overseas. You know, here with the trucks and the fender flares, it's like if your wheels poke out, you're supposed to have fender flares that cover the tread. So over there, what they did, it was like, well, all right, the law says the tread can't poke, so I'll stretch the tire. I'll put, so like 205 in a tire is the millimeter width. I'll put a 205 tire on a 10-inch wide wheel that should call for a 255, and the tread won't poke, but the wheel will poke.
Yeah.
And the side will stretched. And it looks neat, you know, in the right application, but then it's like you stretch a tire on a 7-inch wide wheel that's sunk like a fucking hovercraft. It looks stupid.
Yeah.
Same thing with the camber. It's like there's a time and a place for everything. If you have a wide wheel that's a nice wheel and you have a little camber and a little stretch, it looks right. But these fucking kids are buying these like tire rack specials with some fucking Chinese bullshit tire on it, like a Yingling tire or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah.
And putting 10 degrees of camber.
Is it Yingling?
Yeah,
An American
some-
beer
yeah.
from
but they have
Yeah.
but you know what I mean.
I'm
Some
just
fucking bullshit Chinese tire.
You meant Ying Ying.
Yeah. Yeah, like some fucking $49 tire from Walmart or something.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Or Amazon.com.
yeah, there's a look and there's a time and a place for everything, and people ruin it
Yeah,
basically.
no. And I've never seen that really, the camber stuff on Volkswagens. I'm sure it does. but
Nah,
I'm
people do it.
I've more seen it on like the, you know, Asian imports.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, the Japanese shit.
I was like, God damn, dude, that looks unrideable.
Yeah,
And like, I'm like,
yeah, you're on the sidewall of the tire, and
it's like, I'd love to see those motherfuckers on a snowy hill in fucking February. Like,
Yeah.
like fuck you, motherfucker. I was like, you know, but whatever.
Yep.
And that's when I started to feel old. I'm like, all right, there's shit going on that I don't know or understand. I was
Yeah.
like, God damn, that
no, it's
sucks.
stupid.
All right, well, yeah, man. But yeah, it's crazy, man. It's just the way subcultures work, how it's all like the same shit. It's just applied to different scenes. Like,
And I'm sure there's shit with bikes that you look at that's like, that's the fucking dumbest thing ever. There's no reason for that,
yeah.
you know?
Yeah, no, there is, you know. But like I said, as long as it's fucking not gonna kill somebody, whatever, man. To each their own. Like there's that old saying, there's an ass for every seat.
Yep.
That camber shit looks fucking dangerous. Like, it looks like your
100%.
shit's gonna fall off. Like,
Yes.
like you hit a speed bump and like your wheel is gonna fall the fuck off.
Well, that's like the bring a trailer stuff, like cars selling for like insane money, and it's like all it takes is two idiots: the idiot guy selling it and the idiot buying it.
Yeah,
It doesn't affect you.
Yeah, I mean, that happens too. The chopper shit, shit can get a little wacky. And we all like dangerous and weird and fucked up and fun or whatever. But yeah, shit can get a little too wacky. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but whatever. But see, to me though, like choppers were always, you have a little more room to operate within the chopper. Like, I get just more aggravated when I see people take touring bikes and make them unrideable. I'm like, the whole thing with a touring bike is
The idea is you could drive that shit cross country.
Drive long distances. Like, now you're making it not even fun to go from your house to the fucking bar or the coffee shop. Like when they do these like big wheel things and whatnot.
Yeah,
I said,
that's like the baggers with like the 27-inch front wheels and shit.
Yeah, 27.
Bigger than that?
30. Like they're doing crazy shit. But like, and it's like, all right, you're making something that was meant to drive across country or whatever, long distances, and you can barely drive it down the road.
Yeah.
I'm like, like I said, teach their own, but there's always things in a subculture that endure. Mm-hmm. And then there's always things that are like trends.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly
they're going to come and go. Like they're cool now, but then people are going to be like, fuck this isn't fun to ride, and they're going to get rid of it.
Yep.
Like, which is why we got like a classic chopper right there.
Yeah.
It's a little sketchy to ride, you know what I mean?
That's like I don't know fuck about shit with that, but that's like a 70s style chopper, right?
Yeah. And then behind it, there's something with like huge rear wheel, can't turn as good, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was built in the mid 2000s. There's all kinds of shit, but there's an ass for every seat, you know what I mean? But like, you know what I mean? There's some things that stay, there's some classic things that do work will always stay. Like trends will always come and go, like shit, like but everyone's doing research, R&D, you know what I mean? And so like you find out
like,
some shit works, some shit don't.
It's crazy too with like the internet. It just changes so much because your opinion of what you thought looked cool and everybody else's opinion of what they thought looked cool, it didn't fucking matter because there wasn't the overlap. Yeah. And then the forums happened, and now forums are dying because of fucking Facebook.
Yeah.
Now instead it's a Facebook group.
Yeah. Or Instagram, like Instagram page that isn't someone's like personal Instagram page. It's just like
some shit they just repost other people's pictures on.
Other people's shit. And then they get like fucking hundreds of thousands of followers. And I'm like, easy way to fucking, to get big is just repost other people's shit.
Yeah, screenshotting people's shit and monetizing it.
Not even giving fucking credit half the time.
Yep.
Like there's so many times people will tag one of our bikes, we'll post one of our bikes and not give us a shout out, and then somebody else tags you in it afterwards. We'll tag us. And it's like,
Same with Volkswagen stuff. I see pictures like Josh shot pictures of my car that ended up in the ad for like the company that made my custom wheels, and people are fucking constantly reposting those photos.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, like they post like tag the owner and the thing. It's like, who owns it because all the places that you stole it from have my name and Revival Motoring and all this bullshit.
But that's a little cheesy way to get out of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes people legitimately don't know who the owner is.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like they caught it from a bad source, but 99% of the time they're just scumbags.
Yeah, just profiteers, profiteering. But yeah, man, so fucking let's, and before we even go in further with this, like you talked about Josh from Revival Motoring earlier.
Yeah.
And I got to give him a shout out because he helped me so much at the beginning when I was getting started. Like, took time to go over equipment with me and hosting services and all that shit. Like, gave me all the information I needed to get this shit started. So big shout out to Josh and Revival Motoring, and big respect, man. And I'll always be grateful for that. Good dude, and like so willing to share knowledge about shit, you know what I mean? When some people be like, fuck off, like.
Yeah.
But anyway, So yeah, man. So what got you had started to talk a little bit about the podcast, and then we got into the whole Volkswagen thing, which I knew we were going to end up getting into.
It was
anyway.
inevitable.
Yeah. But so tell me a little bit more about the podcast, what it's about. Like, you kind of got into a little bit of the origins of it. Like, like you were doing stuff with Revival, and they were like, why don't you do one based on all this other crazy shit? But yeah, tell me a little bit more about the focus, introduce Ryan, your co-host, all that shit,
Yeah.
Run through.
So basically, Josh and I have some history with, creating media. Like, we used to do this thing called Gang Stout. It was like fucking 12, 13 years ago now. And it was kind of like a blog type of thing and photography. And we both, were doing, our career stuff and, family and house and whatever. And it just kind of fell off. And, a few years later, Josh wanted to do something else, and he started Revival Motoring. And like I said, that was kind of the idea originally was a photography magazine with an accompanying podcast, and the podcast really took off.
Yeah.
And I was on that a couple times, and it got to the point where, Josh's focus is really photography and videography. So I was helping him a lot with design and as far as merch and logos and things like that. And the podcast just really took off for them. It really blew up, which is great. And we oftentimes would come up with things where we were going way off topic, and it was like, all right, let's get back to car shit. And Josh kind of put the bug on my ear, like, let's have a place for non-car shit. We're all into, music and, tattoos or whatever the fuck else. And, we got the studio set up. We have everything ready to go. Like, just make it happen. And finally I, agreed and did it. And we have a couple other shows too. Like, we have a motorcycle specific show. Our friend Tom does. He's out in California now. He does, not weekly or anything, but he does, motorcycle specific episodes called Talking Motorcycles. We have a NASCAR show now called Circle Jerks. And
best name for a podcast
it's
ever.
so good, right?
It's so good.
It's hilarious because
Yeah.
like most of the people that listen to it have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
But it's just such a funny name.
I bet you get some creeps coming in on that one, and they're not knowing that they're going to talk about cars. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and not only cars, but like NASCAR specifically.
yeah.
Dude, have you ever been to NASCAR?
No, I have not.
I went for my first time like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
In New Hampshire. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's a whole vibe.
Now, no, we got to kind of get into this a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, or we can go into it later.
Oh yeah. No,
Well,
let's
like-
just
like
we should
wh-
probably just hit it now.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about your first NASCAR experience.
So I've got two friends. I have this one friend, the two guys that do Circle Jerks podcast. One is like, you see this guy from a mile away and you're like, that's a NASCAR guy. He's got like the mullet and he's wearing NASCAR shirts every day.
Yeah.
And then my other buddy's like super metrosexual, like fucking like has like a gold tooth. Like,
Hey! I got. Well,
yeah,
mine's platinum.
Yeah,
mine's
but,
platinum.
No, but like he's like big. He's got like a bunch of custom jewelry.
Yeah,
like,
okay,
you know the type. You know, not your type at all, but like totally like very fashionista type of guy.
Sure.
And yeah, I had no idea he was in NASCAR, but apparently like his family was into it and he grew up with it.
Yeah.
So these two guys started this podcast, and I listened to it pretty frequently, and it made me more interested in it. And they were like, "Hey, let's all go, like everybody from Revival. Let's do like a group thing."
But before, isn't that the best thing about podcasts? Is like, to me, like I started listening to them, and then I always got stoked when I listened to an episode that I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to listen to this one, and then I
Yep.
leave it and be like, dude, that was fucking rad, and then
Yes.
it made me interested in something that I didn't even fucking know about. That's to me one of the best things, and that's why with this I don't just try and do motorcycles. I try and do all
Yeah.
kinds of shit because it's, I don't know what the common thread is with everything. Maybe just subculture shit, but it's cool when, like, to me, I get stoked when I find out about some shit I didn't know about.
100%. That's why like your show is one of my favorite shows, because I don't listen to a ton of I have friends that like listen 24/7 to podcasts, and I'm
Yeah.
not that guy. Like I listen to podcasts or talk radio in general when I'm driving.
That's the only time I really
Yeah.
listen to podcasts
Like
too.
if you're working in the shop, like I can't listen to podcasts.
No, it's too much. Like,
Yeah, like I need music
Yeah.
if I'm doing that kind of
100,
stuff.
dude, 100% with you there.
So it's like, I have a 25-minute commute, so I listen to what I listen to, but it's like if I listen to 5 shows, I'm not listening to every episode religiously every week. It's like I pop into them when I can. And but yeah, I totally agree. Like your episodes specifically, like the guy that was doing like the psilocybin therapy and the guy that was the the guy from Bridgewater Triangle that was into that shit. Like those were like a couple of my favorite episodes.
Yeah,
and like your party episodes, like, dude, your fucking story. I've told the story so many goddamn times.
Oh, which one? I don't.
The fucking
I don't
Pamela Anderson story.
Yeah. See, that was never meant for public consumption.
But it just happened.
Packer took advantage of me when I was hammered and pulled it out of me. Yeah.
But oh my god, that story is so fucking good. And like, but even when you were on my show, like one of my big takeaways that we talked about was like when you met that guy. Was it in Arizona?
Yeah.
The shaman.
Yeah.
Like that was one of the coolest fucking things to me. And when you came on my show, I had no intentions of talking about that at all.
Yeah, we just get to weird shit. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the best thing about it.
And I'm not going to talk about that right now. You got to go listen to his episode with me on. I don't know what.
Yeah. Topics Under the Stairs. I have no idea, but just search Big Truth, you'll find it. Yeah. But yeah, no, it's funny how you have no idea what to expect. You get down a rabbit hole and you get sucked in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the best. So anyway, the dudes from the Circle Jerks podcast got you kind of primed for NASCAR.
Yeah.
So you guys end up going.
Yeah, we were gonna go last year, and then with all the COVID bullshit, it got fucked up. So we all went this year, and like they go all in. Like we had enough like 10x10 easy ups to have a fucking tent city. It was ridiculous. We had a hot dog roller. We had a fucking thermos full of margaritas. We had like fucking pork belly. We had so much goddamn food. Like we got there at 8 a.m. and the race didn't start until 3.
Yeah.
So I was like,
so there's a whole.
It's a
like,
whole thing.
It's a whole like what do you call it there?
It's a whole.
The fucking whole thing with like when people show up early to something.
Oh yeah, like tailgating and bullshit. Yeah,
it's a whole tailgating situation.
But they embrace it. So the craziest thing with NASCAR is like I'm not big into sports. I don't know much about sports, but I do know that when you go to sporting events, a beer is like fucking $8.
Yeah.
For like some shitty aluminum bottle.
Yeah.
At this place, you can bring in a 14 by 14 by 14 cooler full of whatever the fuck you want. They do not give a fuck what you bring in, and you can walk in there. They don't even look at it.
Yeah.
It's like if it's a soft-sided cooler, you can walk in with it, with anything.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So you just can't bring in a hard cooler?
Oh no, so you can bring a hard cooler to tailgating. So we had like friggin' thermoses full of mixed drinks and beers
so you can go into the NASCAR like stadium with a soft cooler.
Yes, like the stadium where you sit down on the bleachers and watch the race. Like you can go in with it. I brought 16 beers in to the race.
Yeah.
But before the race, we were bringing we had full-size grills. We had thermoses of stuff. We were out there for 10 hours before the race even started. It was wild. It was a perfect opportunity for me to wear a vest with no shirt on underneath.
Yeah.
I always look for opportunities to do that, and this was the one.
What kind of vest? Like a denim?
Oh, just like a denim, like a Levi's vest with no t-shirt underneath. It was a great opportunity to do that. It was a perfect place for it. So I was stoked about that. But it rained for this was if you're into NASCAR, you know that it rained around the New Hampshire day. And so to limit the traffic to the bathrooms, they built a moat around the bathrooms, the porta potties. There was about 10 inches of water that you had to walk through to get to the porta potties. And the piss to water content, I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah.
It was a bad ratio, I think, though.
Were people just free willying right into the moat?
It was so bad. There's people falling all over the place. There's just drunk people rolling around in the mud. It was a total shit show. And but yeah, like my girlfriend sadly decided to go with us. And the first bathroom that she went in, she came out and I was like, how was it? And she was like, well, somebody decided to just completely saturate the roll of toilet paper with piss. And it was like, at this point, it was 9 a.m.
Yeah. so it was like an hour into
Yeah. So that's a good kind of like tell of how the rest of the day went.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was wild. It was an experience. I'll go again once a year.
Yeah.
I wouldn't travel for it. Like they have a camper and they go to like Pennsylvania and Maryland. They go all over for it, but I'll go once a year.
See, I wonder where the wildest NASCAR tailgating is.
I mean, I don't know how lenient the other states are, but we could have done anything there.
Anything shy of murder?
Yeah, that's questionable. They might be fine with that too. It was pretty relaxed.
So it's like, fuck Jimmy Buffett and the fucking parrot heads or whatever. You got to go to some NASCAR.
Yeah, go to NASCAR. You can do whatever the fuck you want. Bring in whatever the fuck you can. If it's a 14 by 14 by 14 bag, you can bring a bag of machetes into this fucking place. They don't give a fuck. Like, it's insane.
Fuck yeah, man.
Yeah, it was wild.
There must have been some good people watching.
Oh my God, unbelievable. Unbelievable people watching. There was like a dude 2 seats over from us with just overalls and nothing else. And his brother or friend was just like lathering him with sunscreen, but this dude was already so fried. This motherfucker was like see-through like a salamander belly though. Like this is the palest dude I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And they all wear these like CB radio headphones so they can like listen to the pit crews talk. And the other thing I learned is that they have these dryers. It's like right now Toyota is sponsoring the races, and they have jet engines in the back, and they just drive around in circles at like 2 miles an hour, and they just blast air on the fucking pavement to dry it out. So we had to watch this for like, it rained all day. So we're watching trucks drying the track for 4 hours or something. It was awful.
So the races were a lot longer than it normally would be.
Yeah, I actually bailed like, I guess I don't know, innings. They have like 3 things now.
Yeah.
They break it up. I left like in the middle of the second one.
3 heats. Or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. So I left in the middle of the second one because it was delayed from rain for like fucking 4 hours.
I'm just trying to imagine what kind of shit show. It must be like a demolition derby getting out of there. Like everyone's just fucking hammered,
Yeah.
fucking smashing shit.
Everyone's
like,
been drinking all
Yeah.
day. And like literally like when the race started, they got 2 laps in, it started pouring and a car fucking tanked the wall. And then it was like, all right, rain delay. And then the drying trucks came out for another 3 hours. It was crazy. I honestly, like next year I'll probably go and just not even go to the race. Like the tailgate was so fun.
Just stay in the tailgate all day.
Yeah.
Do people do that? Do they just stay in the parking lot all day?
You don't even need tickets to go there. Like you can just go and park at the tailgate section for free. They didn't look at anything until we walked into the stadium.
Really?
Yeah. So I might just go do that. And then when my friends go into the race, I'll take off.
Someone should make a fucking. Did you ever see the documentary called Heavy Metal Parking Lot?
No.
So in the 70s, this lady, or late 70s, early 80s or something, someone went, I don't know if it was a lady or not. Someone went to a Judas Priest show, and they just filmed the parking lot.
It's like people at Walmart.com, but in a documentary. That's great.
But the best thing is they did a follow-up.
Oh.
And like whatever it was, 10 or 20 years later, and they found the same motherfuckers and like did a follow-up with them.
That's
And it was
great.
the best because there was this one dude who was the most like wildest dude.
Yeah.
And then they caught up with him, and he was like still living in a basement, and he was still the same motherfucker. And I'll give it
that's
to him
fantastic.
because you know what? I'm all about like I forgot what the word is just right now. But you know, people that like real
Yes.
motherfuckers. Like
Stay
that
true to
dude,
yourself.
That dude kept it fucking real, dude.
Yeah.
Authentic.
Yep.
That dude was authentic, and you know, he was the same dude, like just 20 years older. You know,
That's
what I mean?
fucking awesome.
But yeah, it sounds like that would be a good place to film a documentary or do a live podcast from.
I very much look forward to going again.
Yeah.
It was cool. But yeah, so that we've got, so long story short, you know, Revival Motoring was the main podcast, and then we have all the spin-off shit. My spin-off shit was the everything else.
Plants.
Yeah, exactly. It was the everything that's not automotive. If it doesn't have a motor, it goes on my show. It's like, it's not motorcycles. It's not fucking European cars. It's not NASCAR. It's on John's show. So it's kind of turned into like a lot of craft beer has been on there. Like I had the dude, a really funny story actually. So I'm into graphic design, as you know.
Yeah.
And I had a couple friends on that were into graphic design as well. Did a lot, like I had a buddy that does a lot of like band design stuff, like record, you know, artwork and shit like that.
Yeah.
And then I had another guy on that was a craft beer distributor. And we're just talking about local breweries. And one of them I was talking about was this place in Braintree, Widowmaker. And I was like, I love the beer, but their fucking artwork sucks. Like when I go to the liquor store, I want to be able to stand across the room from the fridges and see the ones that I recognize because the branding is, you know, cohesive. And this place, like one can looks like this, another can looks like this. And I was like, I just fucking hate it. And I was just like roasting this fucking, all their artwork. And then a few weeks later, maybe it was probably a couple months later, they hired a guy and they rebranded everything. And it was really good. And
Did your podcast have something to do with it?
well, I don't think it had something to do with the rebranding. I think the owner of the brewery and me were kind of thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
And the dude's awesome. He's into like fucking doom metal and shit. Like you were talking about, like that brand that sponsors you guys, like the Vans and the stoner metal. Like that's him.
Yeah.
The dude's rad. And I think we were just kind of on the same page. And I got a message like a couple days after the episode where I was like praising their rebranding. And he was like, hey, man, like I listened to your episode and I totally agree. And our shit, needed work and we redid everything. And he ended up coming on. It was fucking wild. Like it was
the designer guy?
No, the owner of the brewery came on.
Oh, cool.
And so when he came on the show, this was like a couple weeks ago. Like I was telling Ryan, I'm like, this dude's either here to like be cool or he's here to punch me in the face. Like, cause I fucking was like, I had a few drinks in me and I was just going off.
Yeah.
And he ended up being awesome. And he's been great. Like we talk regularly now. He actually let me have a little private car get together at the brewery. And
where is it?
Braintree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's right near F1 in Braintree, like kind of near South Shore Plaza. It's called Widowmaker. The dude's fucking awesome though. So big shouts to Ryan from Widowmaker. But yeah, it was like the really first full circle thing that happened. Like I had a design episode. We happened to bring that up. Someone who I had no connection with happened to listen to it, and he contacted me, and then I had him on, and it just brought on this whole full circle thing. It was wild.
That's the cool thing about some of this shit is like you don't know where it's going because once you put it out there, it can you don't know who's listening, where it goes.
Yeah, you feel like no one's listening. So like when you get some feedback from somebody you don't expect, it's like a real reality check.
Yeah. So how did you link up with your co-host Ryan, and like how did you guys like kind of? And I do like I'm gonna admit I haven't listened to every episode, but I always look at like who you got.
Who we have on.
Because I'm always like, what the fuck's going to be up this week? You know what I mean? Like that's what I like about your podcast.
There's no rhyme or reason.
There's no rhyme or reason, which is awesome. Like you know what I mean? And it's like, it's like you said, it's like a brewery or like a car guy or whatever. You know what I mean? Or
just try to
the plant lady or whatever.
Yeah, just grab what we can grab. So so Ryan and I have known each other for a long time. He's another car guy. He's into air-cooled stuff, which is kind of lame because I'm into water-cooled stuff. So he's into like Beetles and rear-engine Volkswagen
argue
stuff.
About shit, yeah.
No, we're both we're on common ground. But so long story short, when I was starting the show, he like kind of jokingly said like, "Oh, I'll be your intern. Like I'll fucking just come in and help you out." And I'm like, yeah, man, like whatever, like come hang out, have some beers and while I record. And then the first day I was going to record, it was like, I need someone to fucking talk to. Like I need some, like, I don't know how you do it because I need someone to like, to bounce shit off of if I have like a quiet guest.
Yeah.
So I'm blown away at how you do it because I couldn't do it.
Well, honestly, the only reason why I can do it is because I had years of being like literally being an anthropologist and interviewing people.
Yeah.
And literally, that's the only way I could do it. I get so envious. I wish I had like a co-host.
Yeah.
But the problem is the way I schedule shit. Like my time is so fucking bananas.
Yeah. Like today isn't your like necessarily normal day to record, right?
No. But it's one of those things where like I can't subject somebody to that. Like I can't expect someone to be on call 24/7 or like whatever. And it's hard for me to stick to a regular schedule because I'm all over the place. So, and then guests are all over the place. And now to me, it's going to get even harder. Like during COVID, it was fucking easy.
Oh, it's great. People were all available.
Everyone was home. Everyone wanted to do shit. And now everyone's back to it. And so it's harder to get in touch with people.
Yep.
And, and I'm feeling kind of a little bit of the effects of that. Also, I've had, a shitty month, but like, just in general, it's just, I'm glad things are picking up, but for the podcast, it gets a little tougher,
Yeah. No, we're sharing a studio. Like I said, we've got 3 other shows on the network we're on. So kind of back to that, Revival Motoring had their show. The way the podcast stuff works is you have some sort of hosting server. I think we all use the same one.
Yeah.
But you have a hosting server and you have a hosting account essentially, and that's Revival for us. So Revival hosts 4 shows, and we share a studio. So we're more stuck to a schedule because of that.
Sure, and I will go on record saying I'm so fucking jealous of the studio you guys have. Like
it's pretty awesome.
It's fucking nice. Like I think I even talk about it probably on the podcast that I was on.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I was like, like. But the thing is, I know how hard like Josh worked, and like he paid a lot of dues and came up, and then when however that was set up, like it was set up right, and it's fucking nice, and it makes sense. You guys got 3 or 4 shows operating out of there.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it'd be crazy for that to be used once a week. With how nice it is.
Exactly.
So it worked out that, I told Ryan, like, look, Thursday night, you're booked. Like, let's make this happen. So he came in and he just kind of wanted to hang out and, get out of the house for a night. And it was during COVID when I started recording.
Yeah.
And, I was like, no. Like, you're getting on the mic, dude. Like, you're not just going to fucking sit here and watch me talk on myself. Like,
yeah.
we're going to do this. And, it just took off. And he's a fucking great dude. Like, cause he really balances me out. Cause I don't shut the fuck up. I'm a chatty Cathy. Like, he can kind of reel me in when I go off the rails.
Yeah.
So it's good. It
was a good chemistry between you guys when I was on it. It was pretty seamless too. Like, and I know you guys haven't been doing it years together, so it felt like it, and I'm not blowing smoke. It like really was. I was like, this is a good time.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy, and he definitely balances me out as far as what we needed for the podcast. So I'm very thankful for that.
And and you guys don't step on each other, like over each other and stuff. And like when there was the 3 of us, it was a good conversation.
Yeah.
It was like 3 dudes sitting down, you know what I mean? And
that's how we want to keep it, Like, there's some shows that are exactly X amount of time every time, and it's like, no, like, we have some episodes that are an hour, we have some episodes that are 3 hours.
Yeah,
and if it just happens that way, whatever. Like, I'm not editing shit out, unless somebody says something like fucking really offensive, like whatever. But for the most part, I'm not editing shit out. Whatever happens.
Yeah, exactly. That's the best to be, whatever they call it, open, long format.
Yeah,
podcast,
exactly.
Whatever. And I feel like in this day and age where like people have 8-second fucking or 8 millisecond fucking attention spans, this shows that people really do have more attention than the media is giving them credit for, and people are hungry for shit like this. I do get people saying, I wish your podcast was just an hour. I was like, well, listen to it for an hour and shut it off. And turn it back on and listen to it for another hour. Whatever.
Exactly.
What do you want me to tell you, man? Like, I can't cut it in half for you.
Like, sorry you have a 10-minute commute, but,
Yeah, listen to it some other time or don't listen, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, some people love that we get into long conversations. Some people like, oh, man, it's too long. No one's forcing. No one got a gun to your head, motherfucker, making you listen to the whole time. Like,
exactly.
Like, do it.
No, and I try to not fucking beat a dead horse. Like, sometimes you have guests that can really talk, and sometimes it's like, all right, 45 minutes have gone by, and this is kind of fucking winding down. Let's just
wrap
end
it up. Yeah,
Yep.
and see, luckily, I haven't had that yet. I'm sure it will happen. All of mine have been probably. I don't know if any have been an hour. If they've been an hour, it's like someone's hit me up ahead of time, say, look, I only got an hour or so.
Yeah.
And let's try.
Yeah, someone you really want to get on, and it's a short amount of time, whatever.
But yeah, I love it, man, because I love, like, I don't know how you guys prepare, but I'm not trying to be like a dick when I say this, but I don't prepare at all.
Same with me.
Because I'm like, I just want to see where it goes. To me, there's a conversation. I'll have a dude that's like a known fucking musical artist on, and we'll just talk about guns the whole time. We won't even touch music. I don't care.
Yep.
Like, it just goes where it goes. And to me, that's what's cool. Like,
that's how it should be. The shit that I prepare is like our intro and outro shit. It's like we do like I don't even know if I did it when you were on. I started doing like this fucking strange news segment. Did I do that when you were on?
I don't remember. I don't think so.
I don't think so. So I started doing it's like a regular segment, but I just find like fucking bullshit news about, people finding alligators in their pool or, just dumb shit like that.
Like Weekly World News?
Yeah, exactly. Like just whatever strange fucking news I can find. Like
so basically you just read Florida newspapers?
Yeah, exactly. Dude, so much of it is Florida. Like one of the crazy ones I had recently was like this fucking woman died on a roller coaster, and it was like this roller coaster that's been going for 10 years, and like just her like weight to height ratio just like didn't work with the geometries that this roller coaster was designed around, so it fucking like snapped her neck.
Yeah.
And she just like croaked on the roller coaster.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like just weird shit like that. So I try to find stuff like that. We do that. Ryan's just like a crotchety old man, so we do like a what grinds Ryan's gears segment once in a while.
That's cool.
But like kind of we have like our regular stuff that we kind of roll into. So if it's a short interview, we have other shit.
Yeah.
And we do we have a lot of callbacks because a lot of our stuff that Ryan and I are into otherwise overlaps with the regular Revival Motoring show. So we talk like car shit for 10 minutes or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I know you're not supposed to have, I know it's supposed to be everything other than cars, but you've had some car guys on there.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure. Like
Does Josh get pissed when you have car guys on?
No, like I've kind of like told it, like I do like kind of, if there's one that I like.
Do you have to clear it?
Well, So there's people that I want to have on where I kind of pitch it to him first.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't swing, it's all mine. Like
Yeah,
there's
I
this
get it, I
dude.
get it.
There's this fucking guy. I won't even say his name right now. There's this guy that I want to have on so fucking bad. And he like builds these, he buys like decommissioned NASCARs and he makes them, he takes like fucking Studebaker bodies and puts them on them.
Yeah.
And he like street drives them. And it's
So like
insane.
ultimate sleepers. Like,
Yeah, like literally like full tube chassis, fucking decommissioned NASCARs, and he's like putting air ride and a Studebaker body on it, and he daily drives them like it's bananas. And like I'm like, we gotta get this guy on the NASCAR show or like on your show, and
He's gonna be on one of these.
yeah, and he's like the guy's like in upstate New York, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll drive it to Providence, I don't give a shit. And
Even better.
Yeah, exactly. So like if it doesn't happen soon, I'm like, it's just gonna be on Ryan and I's show. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, like my
Well,
buddy.
you know, that one can almost be what night can you be here?
Exactly.
And then whatever
however it
night that
works.
is like whoever show that is he's on that show.
But like that guy, I got to get on soon. But like, yeah, I've had my buddy Anthony on. Like I have a good friend of mine who lives in my hometown. He actually just built, he's a Subaru technician and he just bought like, you know, a traded in Outback for like $500. He put like a 5-inch body lift on it and he goes off-roading in Freetown Forest with it.
Nice.
Dude, the thing's insane. It's got a 5-inch body lift and like big, like 30-inch super swampers.
That's like one you need video component for.
Exactly.
Are you guys doing video yet?
No, not yet. I want to. Josh does.
Yeah.
So they have an intern who like runs this whole station. Like in our studio, you know, for anyone who hasn't seen
I remember
it.
seeing the video shit there.
Yeah, so like we have a desk where the people recording sit with the 4 microphones, and then there's a separate desk with like a monitor and a bunch of controls, like a separate mixing board that's just for the YouTube controls. So it's like this OBS controller, and so like say they're talking about something, he can Google it and pull it up on the screen.
Yeah.
And it will like do like a picture-in-picture on the YouTube, and they'll actually live stream that to YouTube. And then you can go back and watch the live stream. So you see them talking, but you also see whatever Shook is pulling up on their
that's
YouTube. Cool. It's nice.
Yeah, I would love to do shit like that, but that requires
the extra person. That requires a lot more equipment. You have a dedicated computer to the show, essentially.
Yeah.
And it has to be a computer capable of streaming the video, which we've learned.
Yeah, so it's going to be a good.
We've learned that it needs to be a very powerful machine. Like we had one that we thought was going to be fine, and it wasn't working for Josh. So he's I guess like his intern ended up bringing something else in, but
because that's a whole other.
The thing like with Josh, like you were saying, like Josh is one of those people. Like other people might have an idea, like Josh will have an idea, and he'll be the guy
That makes it happen.
that will just fucking make it happen. Like even if like you know. The reasonable person might be like, oh yeah, you know, that would be cool if I did that, but you know, I don't really want to take the risk, or I can't afford this. Josh is like, that would be fucking cool. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And he just will go full send on an idea, and he knows when to ask for help. And you know, I'm very thankful to have him as a friend because I don't think I'm that guy, you know, in a lot of ways. And he'll pull me in after he's already taken a leap, and you know, I'll take my design talent and he'll take his photography talent, and we can make a lot of cool shit together.
Now, do you guys all sit in on each other's shows sometimes? Like, do you sit on the Revival show or?
No, like you know, I've been on their show maybe twice.
Yeah,
and they're on like, you know, episode like fucking 200 or something. Like they've been going forever.
They've been going a while. Yeah.
Yeah, and so they've actually, so the live stream changed a lot for them. That kind of happened during COVID. One of their co-hosts is like big into DJing, so he was doing a lot of like live stream shit for that. So that kind of is what prompted them to go video, because he was already set up for it. And you know, more recently, you know, the advertisers have changed. We've had a lot of different vendors and advertisers and things, and now they're trying this new model. They're calling it Bucks for the Boys. So instead of like say Patreon, they have a thing built into their website, and it's just Bucks for the Boys, and you can sign up for a monthly subscription specifically for their show, you know, and it's just through the Revival Motoring website.
Yeah. Cuts middlemen out.
Yeah, and they, you know, will give shout outs for that, and it's evolved quite a bit. You know, we this last event that we had up in Vermont, it was a show called Wolf's Cart. It was the first time there was like a big Revival booth, a lot of new merch, and it went really good. It was cool.
Oh yeah, man. Sorry, and I wasn't being rude. Checking my phone.
No, you're fine.
I had posed that you were coming on to my Patreon subscribers. I just wanted
cool.
to see if there was any questions.
Yep.
And so I did get one funny one, but we'll wait. We'll wait for it. Like, let's go through the regular shit.
Yeah.
So fucking Revival did a lot of motor stuff, motor related, car related stuff, and then the catch all for outside stuff was going to be you guys. Like, how did you kind of, having gone through, you're almost a year in, if someone was getting interested in starting a podcast, like what's some advice, and like what were some of like the hurdles, and some of like the highs and lows of it for you, you know what I mean?
I think the biggest thing is, for me, like Ryan is fantastic and he balances me out a lot. But as far as what I needed to do myself as the primary host was have a show outline. Like I needed to, even if it was something stupid that I did every single week, I had to have it physically in front of me. I know you use your phone for notes and things sometimes. It's kind of the same thing for me. So I use, Google Keep. It's just like a notepad, and I can have it on my computer, my phone, whatever I have in front of me. And I just be like, all right, I say the name of the show. I introduce Ryan. I introduce our guest. I do our fucking ads. So I built an outline, and I kind of follow that pretty, even if I don't feel like I need to look at it on the days that I think I'm overconfident and I don't look at it, I fuck up. So I use that a lot. And the other thing is, I guess it really just depends on what you're doing. I had an idea of, I just try to follow what I'm interested in. And I think it's pretty similar for you. I try to I don't write questions for like my guests at all.
No.
I just ask a couple initial questions, and it might go down a rabbit hole. And if it dies, then I just go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I found that
just
to
like
be the
any
best
conversation. Way. That's the only. Yeah. That's all you got to remember is you're sitting. I just pretend you're sitting with someone at a bar. Where would it go?
Exactly. And if I wasn't interested in talking to that person at a bar, I'm not going to ask them to be on my show.
No, exactly. Yeah.
And as far as like the equipment and stuff, so many people ask me about the equipment and how to physically do it, like as far as the technical stuff. And I try to not even get into it too much, because there's 10 different ways to do it. Like the way that you do it and the way that we do it happens to be the same, but it's not the only way. Like you can have a laptop and a couple microphones and do it. You can buy this smaller recorder and do it. There's 1,000 different ways to do it. There's no right or wrong way.
It's probably more than 1,000.
Yeah.
It's just crazy. Yeah.
There's no right or wrong way. The way we do it, I think, is easy.
Yeah.
There's a board that has sound effects and records onto a SIM card, and you can bring it anywhere. It's great. But exactly.
Well, yeah, whatever. We get
but it's funny. Like the guest that I had on most recently, actually, he originally hit me up like, hey, I want to start a podcast about, he's like huge into MMA, and he actually like sponsors a couple fighters and stuff. And he was like, I want to start a podcast. Like, would you be willing to talk to me about it? And I was like, yeah, but like, come on my show. Like, let's talk about what you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then I'll show you the shit. And
it's
we can
the best
talk
way
about
to
it.
do it. Is show it. Like,
yep.
Yeah, I've told a ton of people about this, and I know some people have actually started podcasts and they use this equipment.
Yeah.
So this is, Josh told me, I told other people. Like,
yeah.
It's right. The thing is, there's 1,000 ways to do it or more, but I hate more than anything when I download a podcast and it's got a guest that I want to see, or not see, but I never watch it, but I want to listen to. And it sounds like fucking, they recorded it at a fucking wind tunnel.
Yes.
During a storm, like inside an arcade.
Yep.
And, whatever. And I'm like, dude, I can't fucking hear anything, man. I was like, this is a disrespect to your guest that took the time to be on it. It's a disrespect to your brand, a disrespect to yourself, your podcast, and a disrespect to your listeners, because everyone's trying to fucking, like, what the fuck is going on? This is probably, you could be having the most interesting conversation ever and hearing shit that guest has never told anybody, and you can't make it out. You can't hear it. It's like, what the fuck, man? Like,
and like you said, like with some of your like party episodes and stuff, like people drag stuff out of you that you never intended to say.
Yeah.
And those are some of the best stories, and that's not just for you, that's for every guest.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, if the sound quality is fucking horrible, like don't jump and do this until you can do it somewhat good. You know what I mean?
Like you're not going to do this for $50.
No.
Like, invest the money, buy some decent equipment. You don't have to buy exactly what we use, but there's a right way and a wrong way to do it.
Yeah, it's just because it's going to do a disservice to you, your podcast, and your guests if you don't have it sounding halfway decent. Like, it doesn't need to sound like it was produced in a fucking multi-million-dollar studio, but it you don't want it to sound like you recorded it on the street during this fucking tsunami. You know what I mean?
I think that, and I think consistency is another huge thing. I don't think it has to be every week. I don't think it has to be every 2 weeks. I think the shows that have 10 episodes and then 6 weeks go by, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And that happens all the time. People want to dive into this.
They get excited and then they run out of fucking guests.
Exactly.
Or they just were like, oh, no, shit, I got to do a bunch of shit. I feel bad. I've missed like a week here and there.
Yeah, and that's nothing. But like there's so many shows that have the potential to be great shows, and they start a show and they do a month or 6 weeks or even 12 weeks, and then they just completely fall off. And then they'll do like a straggler episode once in a while.
I think those are the people that think they're going to get rich off it.
Exactly.
It's like, not everyone's going to get in this and get a $200-something million deal from fucking.
You're not going to get a Spotify deal.
You're not going to get a Spotify deal like coming out of the gate, man.
Yep.
You ask Joe Rogan, he has 10 years in this before he got fucking like that. You know what I mean?
He was doing everyone thought he was fucking crazy when he started doing podcasts.
And on top of that, he's a fucking well-established comedian, host of UFC, and fucking he's like a dude that's connected. You know what I mean?
Well, that's like another one I listen to. I really like. There's a female comedian, Nikki Glazer. I like her a lot. She has a great podcast. It's fucking hilarious. Like her and some other dude. I would have never found her if she wasn't like an established comedian.
Yeah. Some people have a leg up because they got contacts that you might not have.
Yep.
But it doesn't mean you can't get there. But like anything worth doing, man, you got to put in some work and you got to make some sacrifice to do it. There's
weeks, I'm sure there's for you, there's weeks that you don't want to sit down and do this, but you do it, You
know what? So what I will say to that is absolutely, and there's weeks that I'm like, fuck, I don't want to do this. Like I just need one night to fucking not do something.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it's rolling, I'd never regret it.
I totally agree.
I can be like, fuck this, until the second I hit record and the person comes on the thing.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it's on, it's like, wow, this is fucking cool. And then later I'm like, damn, dude, I'm so glad I did that. Like I learned this, even if it's someone I know, you know what I mean? I'm like, I never knew that about them. You know what I mean? And
I totally agree.
I get so excited about that.
That's like, I've had episodes where me and Ryan just record alone because like a guest bailed, day of or something. And I just wanted to have something to release that week.
Of course, yeah, for consistency and just keep it. Because in this day and age, if you're not there every week, you know what I mean?
Yeah, people subscribe and it's like, then people, listen start to fall off, whatever. But yeah, and some of those have been my favorite episodes, where we get into something like some separate topic that I didn't expect to talk about at all.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the original idea. Like I never intended to have a guest every week.
Yeah.
Like the original idea was like, all right, today we're going to discuss fucking ghosts or whatever, and go down a rabbit hole with just the two of us. And it just never happened. Another thing that really happened with the show that was bizarre was a lot of people latched on to career stuff that doesn't seem exciting. Like we've had, we had a guy that was like a project manager for like a contractor on, and that episode got so much positive, or like an electrician or like shit like that.
Yeah.
So much positive feedback for like these trades that are like overlooked.
Well, you think of it this way, right? And this is how many electricians are there?
Yeah.
And then how many MMA fighters are there?
Exactly.
And how many electricians are interviewed and how many MMA fighters are interviewed?
Yep.
So MMA fighters, say there's 500, whatever, like professional full-time.
Yeah.
All 500 have been interviewed.
Oh yeah.
Electricians, there's tens and tens of thousands of them, and they don't get fucking interviewed.
Nope.
So that's actually really smart because you talk to them about shit, and then all the people that are electricians want to listen because they're going to support that shit because that's something they're interested in and something that is vital to them.
Yep.
And it's
weird how it turned that way. Like we had like actually one of my earlier episodes was my brother, and he sells insurance. And I was looking at it like, what's something everybody needs that they don't know shit about? You know, like if you own a home and you own vehicles, you own a motorcycle, like you need insurance. And half the time they're babbling on about all this coverage you don't even understand.
Yeah.
So we had an episode about that. And that episode, still to this day, that was up like episode 4. We're on episode like 40. I still get messages like, hey, can you like ask Craig if, if I'm doing A, B, and C, should this be covered? Like Ryan, who's on our show, he had a flood in his basement and he was like renovating a bathroom and like just was like casually talking about it, like not even asking about insurance. And my brother was like, yeah, like your homeowners that you've been paying for 15 years will cover that.
Yeah.
Like you should call them.
Yeah.
Like you've been paying on this, like utilize it.
Yeah.
And I ended up paying for like the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And might not.
And he would have never known.
Yeah, I mean, because that's practical shit for everybody.
Yep.
That's why I had like Will on, who's an attorney. He's a criminal attorney, but also a gun rights attorney.
Yeah,
Just to
that
kinda
episode was cool.
Break some of that shit down. I got my accountant's going to come on.
Oh, that'll be
talk
really
about
good.
Tax shit. You know what I mean? And because my basic question was, how in the 1960s did an American family get by with one
income,
one person working, and you had 3 or 4 kids and a house and this and that,
and they're buying a 1,500 square foot house, and sustaining just fine.
And what the fuck happened? Because now you got so many households with 2 incomes, and everyone's just struggling to get by, and they might be renting a fucking apartment. He's like, the tax code has changed so much in the last years, and we don't think about that as Americans, but a lot of it has to do with taxes. When you really think about it and sit back, so you say, income tax is 33%. Federal income tax right off the rip.
Yeah.
33 point whatever percent.
Oh, when you look at the breakdown,
and then your state income tax is different, whatever percentage that is. And then every fucking thing that's a tax that isn't called a tax, they change the name so you don't think about license, registrations, fees, fucking this and that. And it's all these things are taxes on you. At the end of the day, we're paying over 50% in taxes.
There's something crazy going on right now that is a great point of this that made me think of it. So have you seen the influx of these the Japanese trucks that people get, the like K trucks, the right-hand drive little teeny Mitsubishi Honda trucks? It's almost like the size of a slightly exaggerated golf cart.
Yes.
So
I saw one in like Boston or something. I haven't seen it around.
So
they're not rolling around Freetown.
Yeah, there's more than you think. But basically the way that imported vehicles work is once it's 25 years old, you can import a vehicle from anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
You can import it here. It doesn't matter if it didn't pass safety standards in the US, 10 years ago. If it's 25 years old, you can bring it here and you can register it. That's the fucking law.
Yeah.
Federally. So there's like this website, carfromjapan.com, where you can go on and you can buy one of these trucks for like $3,000 and get it here on a boat for like $1,000, and you have this little mini truck and it'll go like 85 down the highway, no problem. Right-hand drive stick. They have no miles on them. And people use them for farm trucks. People use them just for like work commuting vehicles, all sorts of bullshit. Now, a handful of states have just decided that they're going to outlaw them. And it's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like the federal law is that if it's 25 years old and it passed in another country, you can bring it here. And now like Rhode Island and New Hampshire and a handful of other states, they're sending out letters saying that they're going to revoke K-car registrations. And it's fucked. Yeah. It's like, how are you letting the government, like you paid taxes on this vehicle for 5 years, you've paid registration fees, you legally registered it, it's a federal law, and now these fuckers are going to say they're going to pull your registration. It's just not right.
No. And what's the reasoning?
Because fucking one guy said, oh, well, I don't think that can safely go 65, which is totally false. They can.
Yeah.
But it's fucked up.
Yeah, I guarantee that there's more to it, and there's some kind of tax they don't get from it.
Exactly. There's some like importing thing. It's always comes down to money. But it's just another example of like an overreach thing.
Of course.
And unfortunately, like, some people are just going to fucking fold and do it. But it's like, there's a class action lawsuit here. Like, fucking sue the state. Like, tell them, like, no, fuck you. Like, I paid this. I'm getting this car.
Yeah. You know what I would say is like, no, fuck you, and come take it from me.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
And that's what it's going to come down to for a lot of people. It's in the very early stages.
Yeah, but no one will
now.
do that. Like some people do, but so many people just cave and corrupt. And like everyone has forgot that the government is a servant of the people, not the other way around. And it's so reversed right now, dude. And
yeah, it's fucked.
Whatever you want to say about the events of last year, Like, there's been so much government overreach
Mm-hmm.
that no one's thinking about or talking about or worried about because everyone's got everyone hoodwinked on some other shit. Like, and
Yeah, you.
and I'm not saying the other shit ain't real.
No,
but
you hyper focus on one topic, whether it be the treatment or whether the thing is real or not, or whether you think you should go out or not.
Yeah.
You should hyper focus on what you feel is right for yourself.
yeah,
And that's it.
And government shouldn't be, because the same motherfuckers that are be like, and I'm just putting this out there. That don't get pissed, everybody out there. And if you get pissed, whatever. I don't really care. The same people that are my body, my choice about like abortion and shit
Yeah.
like that. They're not about that with vaccines.
No.
And I'm not anti-vaccine. Like
Yeah.
I have vaccines. Like, and I will get more vaccines.
Yeah.
I am not going to get a vaccine that hasn't gone through proper testing that can only be administered under an Emergency Protection Act.
Yep.
Like, sorry. Like,
Yeah,
you know
no,
what
it
I
totally
mean?
makes sense.
And I'm not against anyone else getting it. Like, you know what I mean? You want to roll the dice, you get it.
And no
you roll the
business-
dice your way. Everyone's gambling.
Yep. And no business should have the right to fucking ask if you had it or not.
Yeah,
It's
you
stupid.
know, it's fucking crazy. And if you think they do, you got to rethink what you think fucking freedom is.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And it's like, and I'm not trying to put anyone's life on the line. I'm not trying to take some shit that I don't really fucking know about.
Yep.
And I get so pissed when these punk rock motherfuckers are going along with these mainstream narratives. I was like, since when have you become like so trusting of big pharmaceutical companies,
Yeah.
dude? Like, cause guess what? They're profiteering in the fucking billions off this shit when there's viable choices like ivermectin. Like, for example, just look it up. Like, don't listen to me. Look it up. Like, the problem is that ivermectin's been around so long that it's in public domain that
Yeah.
there's no patent on it. So it's only $3
Yeah,
a
you
fucking
can get
dose.
third party ivermectin now.
It's $3 a fucking dose versus the treatments that pharmaceutical companies that are pushing that are $3,000 fucking dollars a fucking dose.
Yep.
Like, do the math, follow the money. The money, like, the only thing I picked up in college that made any fucking sense was, I had one professor say, if something doesn't ever make sense, follow the money. You follow the money in this shit, boom.
and that goes with anything, not
With
just
anything.
pharmaceuticals, but especially
Yeah.
pharmaceuticals.
No,
it makes
of course.
sense.
Pharmaceuticals have a vested interest in you being and staying sick.
Yep.
Like, because if you're cured, they're not making any money.
Yep.
Like, they need you hooked on their shit. That's why you get prescribed drugs from doctors that you never get off of.
Oh yeah, there was a big popular podcast that had a whole episode about that, and it was fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I think you posted it. Yeah,
I did.
Yeah,
because
that was insane.
And because the thing is
I listened to that on a flight a few weeks ago. That was fucking wild.
yeah, and these are doctors of biologists, evolutionary biologists and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Like, these aren't people that are like laymen on the street like you and me. You know what I mean? So, like, don't listen to me. Fucking go do your research. You know what I mean? Like,
I think
and your
that's the-
research isn't CNN or Fox.
And even beyond that, people's on the other end of that spectrum, people's research has become their peers' Facebook posts.
Yeah.
and that's not right either. Like,
Yeah.
you need to actually do your due diligence to research whatever the fuck it is that you're worried
And if you
about.
haven't done it, then just shut the fuck up.
Yep.
And don't chime in because no
Yeah.
one needs to hear from you.
Yeah.
And me too. You know what I mean? That's why
Yep.
we'll get on to a different topic.
No, but it's a great point, and that goes back to what we were saying, even about car bullshit before. It's
Yeah.
like before there was dedicated websites, now there's Facebook, and now everybody has a platform. 30 years ago, not everybody had a platform. You listened to the one person that had a platform,
Yeah.
or you did your own research. Now every motherfucker has a platform.
It's crazy, and you're getting torn in different directions. Like, you got people trying to tell you about flat Earth, and you got people trying to tell you about where COVID came from. I don't care where COVID came from. Guess
Yeah.
what? It's here. We got to deal with it.
Yeah, and COVID and
the way we're
political
dealing
shit
with it, I'm
are
not
two
for
totally
it.
different things. Yeah.
100%. Yeah, or whatever, and then if you're listening to a bunch of people fucking yes and shit on Facebook, and they are not citing credible fucking sources, don't listen to them and don't chime in and just go fucking along with it, like
Yep.
because no one needs to hear from any of you, like, you know what I mean, and whatever. All right.
Yeah.
Everyone loves it when I get worked up, and I don't like to get. I don't
No,
wanna do
but
that,
it's easy to do.
It's so easy to do, like, dude, especially after a couple of fucking
Yep.
Tito's and fucking Gatorades. Even
It was
Steve,
quite delicious.
it's so good, dude. And you won't tomorrow. You wake up like nothing. Like,
Good. I got to fly to fucking Misery tomorrow.
yeah. Kansas City. Anyone going to Kansas? Anyone's got some good suggestions for? Well, no, don't because
be
this
too late
won't
now.
be out till Wednesday, so don't worry. Yeah, fuck
I'll be flying home once you give them.
yeah. But yeah, man. So what else is up? Like, what do you got? What do you guys? You got about 40 episodes in. Is there anything you plan on changing? You're going to keep it as it is? There's like other stuff you'd like to do with it, like.
Yeah, I mean, you and I both kind of have a similar situation in the sense that we're both doing a lot of different shit. Like you've got your music shit and your chopper shit. For me, it's like I've got my car friends and I've got my music friends and I've got my design friends.
Yeah.
And obviously the easy thing is exhaust all those avenues initially.
Yeah.
And that's what I've done. So I'm kind of working on reaching out to, cold calls and stuff.
Yeah.
And
I am too, and I find it doesn't go as well.
it doesn't. And so it's funny. After you had me do your one sheet, I ended up making one.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is fucking brilliant. Like, here's my attachment for emails.
Yeah.
And I've got something to send that kind of explains myself without having to type 10 paragraphs, whatever. And it's helped a little bit. I'm more hesitant to do it. Like, I want to spend the time to craft the emails. It's not as easy as like texting my buddy,
Yeah.
So I'm kind of at that stage now where I need to like really buckle down and start reaching out to more people. Like I really want to get, I'm big into like antique taxidermy and like oddities and stuff. And I fucking really want to get somebody that's into that on.
Yeah.
And I've been like, that's been my focus lately and I'm wasting so much time on it. And it's just been a dead end because all the people that are into that shit are like fucking people that don't want to come talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's tough.
There was that TV show about the place in New York.
New York, yeah.
And I went in there, and those people really worked there, and they were
Yeah,
cool as
no,
fuck.
they were cool. I've been to that shop before.
You should hit them up because I
Yeah.
think it's still there.
Yeah, I think it is. I had hit up, there's a new one in Boston. So I hit them up and they were like, yeah, but it was like in the middle of the pandemic and they were like, kind of like, oh, maybe like, so I got to kind of reach out to them again now.
Yeah.
But I really want to get one of them on. Fucking, we're talking about Troy.
Yeah.
I got to get Troy on.
The trouble with Troy is you might have to get him. You might have to get him a little socially lubed up a little
Yeah,
bit. before
he'll
you
have to
get
be
him
lubed up. I might have to like bring the setup to his house because getting that dude, like he's like one of those traveling 20 minutes is 5 hours type of motherfuckers.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
like, oh, I gotta go to Providence. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
But
But it's cool though because at least you have like a home base that is like someone comes there. It's like a professional setup.
Yeah,
You're not sitting talking on a motorcycle lift.
I like this. I honestly like it because it's so different than what I'm used to. But the other thing we just did was we replaced the sign, the Revival Motoring sign, with a TV. So now I get to have my logo on the wall, which is cool.
Oh, that's perfect.
But we also get to have, like if we do Zoom interviews, I can have them on the TV. So Ryan and I can see them and it's like they're sitting in the room with us.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's pretty cool. So we actually had this dude, I told him to email you. I don't know if you ever did. They have a podcast called Kickstands and Kickflips.
No,
It's a kid from Texas. He's from Florida, moved to Texas. He's into choppers, and he was a motorcycle mechanic, and his buddy's like a big skateboarding guy.
That's cool.
So it's like a culture overlap.
There's
podcast.
so much overlap with like so many like old skater kids are like are like in bikes now. It's
So it's all
been that way
It's-
for the last like 10 years.
It's kind of the same idea, It's there's a lot of music overlap and choppers and skateboards. So they have a
Yeah.
whole show based on that. So I had them on to talk about it and just kind of talk about our mutual interests and things. And that was our first Zoom interview.
Yeah.
And it went really good. And I actually liked it better than like the phone ones I've tried. So I think moving forward, I'm going to try to have people. I'm going to try to talk people into doing Zoom versus the phone.
And then that would make it way easier to do a video component.
Exactly.
If you wanted to push that. Because I think, with podcasts, when they're on YouTube, if you have like more of actual videos rather than
Yeah.
just like mine will be a
just the
graphic.
audio.
Yeah, with the audio. Because I'm kind of archaic. I listen to podcasts. I don't watch them.
Yeah,
I listen
no,
to
same
them
with me.
like you said, when I'm driving. You know what I mean? And
I was on one that's only on YouTube, which is really fucking weird to me.
yeah.
Like this kid was like, "Oh, I'm starting this podcast. It's called Fuck Yeah Volkswagens. Like, I really want to have you on. Like, you're been
yeah.
around for years or whatever." And I'm like, "Yeah, man. Like, I'll do it." I'm like, "Where can I listen to it?" And he's like, "Oh, it's only on YouTube." I'm like, "The fuck?" Like,
Yeah.
the dude's in Oregon, and we're on Zoom, so it's like literally just like my fucking face on my webcam and him.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't watch this. Like,
Yeah,
who the hell's
yeah.
gonna watch? But apparently people do. Like, and then you start to see like all these like YouTubers, and it's such a thing now.
I mean, there's weird things. People make a career out of just taking things out of boxes on YouTube.
It's so
like
bizarre.
ordering something, it comes in and you open up the package and
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's such a weird thing. Who would have thought that that's like? But at the same time, like if I get something in the mail, I love
exciting.
opening the box. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? But I don't want some motherfucker open a box.
Well, it's like I was never into video games, but like I liked playing them when I was a kid.
well, there's that whole platform now, right? Where, like,
People
Twitch-
watching
Twitch.
other people play. Like,
But
dude,
there's a whole
Yeah.
video game social media like Twitch. I think
yeah,
is that
like
right?
yeah, like if me and you were like fucking 10 years old and I was sitting in your house watching you play video games, I'd be like, I'm
When's
waiting
it
for
my
the-
turn?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the controller, motherfucker. Like, I don't want to watch you play. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
now these kids will watch somebody else play video games for 4 hours. It's insane.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with like car shit. Like people, I'll go on and watch a DIY video. Like, all right, I need to, change the thermostat on this motor. I've never done it. Like I'll skim through a video and like watch somebody do something. But like, I'm not going to watch it for like entertainment
Yeah,
purposes, but people do.
And you got to watch like 2 or 3 of them because there's some motherfuckers that don't do shit right and they
Yes.
just film it and it's like that's sketchy, And I'm not saying they have nefarious fucking, ill intent behind it. It's just some people
They're doing it wrong.
have more, they have more confidence than
Yeah.
knowledge, and so they think like, oh, someone wants to watch me do this,
Or it's like, here's what I'm going to do. And then all of a sudden,
like.
like the clip changes and it's done.
Yeah,
it's like,
it's done.
it doesn't actually show them doing it. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. What happened in that 47 minutes in
Yeah,
between those 2
exactly.
clips? Like, you throwing wrenches and fucking flipping out about shit.
That's another thing that I've been trying to do more. So Revival has a YouTube channel. Besides the podcasts, we've been trying to do like vlogs weekly
Yeah.
of just like update shit. So like I'm always like in my garage, I've got my 2 cars I'm always tinkering with. So like I'm just trying to record it. Like I'm not trying to let it distract me too much, but I'm trying to obviously make good content. So like I'm trying to like look at the camera and be like, all right, here's what I'm going to do. And then I just fucking do it. And then I'll time lapse it or speed stuff up as I need. But it's hard. Like,
Yeah.
People that do that, it is a whole job in a way.
No, audio is one thing. When you get into video, dude, it's a whole other, because like when we do like the Chop Ed TV shit and whatever.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So you know that
the
firsthand.
videos and all that. Like I can't imagine, like you almost need somebody that's their job is
Yeah.
to do the video shit, to help you out with that, because you can't really do that yourself. Like that Survivor Man show, I'm
yeah.
sure he's got people
He's got
helping
10 motherfuckers
Yeah,
following
yeah.
him all the time.
It's not just him, but
Yeah.
even if it is,
I'm
just
gonna
him,
survive the Nile River with only a boogie board.
he's just filming it. There's the one, I think that's the one Survivor Man, right, where the guy goes out by himself and sets up the camera, and
Yeah.
he ain't editing that shit later, dude.
No,
like that's a
somebody's
whole
doing
different
that.
fucking thing, And editing is way harder than just filming something.
Oh yeah,
That's why I
filming it's
don't
one thing.
edit.
It takes so fucking long.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, and to do it in a timely fashion and get it out before it's old and stale is another tough thing,
Yeah. No, it's good. Like I get bored with shit, man. Like I like doing graphic design. Like that's how you and I met.
Yeah.
Through Josh actually. He hooked me up with you to get some design stuff you needed done, and I like doing it, but I wouldn't want to do that, 40 hours a week and then go home and do it. I like the
Yeah.
amount that I do it. It's fun, and I like to do it for shit that I like. Like,
Yeah.
I enjoy doing cool counterculture shit. I like doing band stuff. I like doing your stuff. I do stuff for some hot rod shops. I wouldn't want to be doing some like boring ass pamphlets for
For fucking
for some fucking Walmart or whatever the hell.
Oh, and so that brings me to one of the question that did come through on Patreon, because I put it up kind of late, so I only got
Yeah.
one. And it was like, what kind of dick is Truth to work for, in regards to the graphic stuff?
That's funny.
You can answer full. There's no.
Honestly,
there's no.
You are like one of the easiest people to work for because we have a common understanding of the shit we're into. I feel like I have a good idea of what you like,
Yeah.
and I think that's why it works for us. And I think if I didn't, you wouldn't have kept asking me to do your shit.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing with your friend Ryan Packer too. I've helped him with a handful of shit.
Yeah.
And he's asked me to do stuff that's like not in my wheelhouse, and I'm like, yeah, man, like I'll do it, but like you could probably find someone better to do what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And I try to be honest about that stuff. a lot of with artwork in general, and you work in a tattoo shop environment with one of your, your other businesses.
Yeah.
So you see that side of it in the sense of like, I'm a graphic designer. Like I'm not an illustrator.
Yeah.
And a tattoo artist is a tattoo artist. And sometimes there's overlap there and sometimes there's not. And sometimes people ask me to illustrate something from scratch. And I'm like, yeah, I could do it, but somebody else probably do it better than I could.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause you know what your skill set is and what you're into and yeah. And that's why I always try and come with like a certain amount of direction just to point you, but then also enough breathing room to have a little creative license to shit. You know what I mean?
And that's the worst when people don't do that. Like I have some customers where it's like, here's what I need, and they make it sound super vague, and I give them almost exactly what they asked for to a T, and then what in reality what they wanted is nothing like what they fucking asked for. And that sucks, and it happens all the time. And I try to be friendly of that in the sense of like I want this guy to come back to me, so I'll work with him, but it's a fucking pain in the ass. And I know the second I get a message from him, I know it's gonna suck from the second I start talking to him.
Yeah.
But you're not bad to work for at all. Sometimes it's like I'm like, hey, I'm a little tied up this week. How soon do you need this? And it's like fucking yesterday. But it is what it is. But
that's only because I'm flying by the seat of my pants half the time. And that's why.
But you know what? I am a huge proponent of under promise, over deliver.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, I'll get it to you by Friday, and on Wednesday at 2:00 you have it.
Yeah. No, you've never missed any. Been no real deadlines, but you've always kind of, like you said, come in ahead of time.
Yeah.
Ahead of schedule,
the trick
right
is,
on schedule.
Yeah. You fuck up a couple deadlines, and when it's a bad one, you never do it again. So that I've learned that over the years. I went to school for graphic design, and I never worked in it full time, but. I like the people that I do work for.
Yeah.
And I turn a lot of design work down because I don't like doing it full time. And the people that I do work for, I want to keep doing work for.
Yeah. No, that's smart, man. Some people just take on every job that's offered to them, and then they get inundated and behind, and then they fuck everyone, and not on purpose.
No.
Like they just can't keep up.
Yeah. If you get buried, and it happens easy.
Yeah, I can, especially in that type of shit. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot. I'm sure some people come for you for like pamphlets or like.
Yeah.
It's one thing for like a episode art or
a
logo.
Well, like going back to Revival Motoring, like we do a 100-page magazine.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's not just like a picture on pages. Like there is like
layout,
text and layout on every single one of those 100 pages, and it's very time consuming. So when I'm working on that and I get other stuff on top of it, it's tough because you got to kind of turn that off, and then you get into a style of one thing that you're working on, and you got to turn that off and move on to something else.
Yeah.
Luckily, most of the stuff I work on is similar-ish.
Yeah.
But it's a weird thing, and you get creative bursts. I mean, sure, it's the same with, even like building bikes. Like some days you're feeling super creative and you have all these great ideas, and sometimes months goes by and you just feel like a fucking lump on a log and you can't do anything.
Well, it's also like the work you take in or the work you're doing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, been doing it long enough where we kind of, I don't know how to explain it. Like, if someone comes in and is like, I want this bike and I want to do this, and they're trying to go down to the exact nut and bolt, like yeah, maybe there's someone else that's, I think with anything, with time, you get to know, like you said, like what customers to keep and what customers to not work with. Like
you got to know when to say no,
or know when to say no to something, because that'll make your life hell. You know what I mean? This is for anybody in any type of business. Like, like there's going to be good customers, there's going to be like all right customers, and there's going to be customers that you shouldn't have as customers. And whether it's just the chemistry between you two, they could be complete assholes. You know, or you could just be not what they're looking for. There's just, you don't take that shit personal.
Yeah.
But you just be like, hey, I'm probably not the person for you on this particular situation.
And I think that comes down to being honest with yourself. Like, it's not a matter of overconfidence. Like, could I physically do what this guy's asking for? Sure. Will it make me happy? Maybe. No. Will it make me enough money? Probably not.
Yeah.
Will it waste a lot of time? Probably.
Yeah.
You gotta weigh all that shit out.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, like, you got to make money, but you also got to keep it interesting enough for you where you don't burn yourself out and be like, fuck this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And once you say fuck this, you're gonna half-ass it, and it's not gonna be pretty for you or the customer.
Exactly. Yeah. There you go. there's the big take home for you today for all you entrepreneurs out there.
Yeah.
But chances are you probably already know that if you own your own business. If not, you will learn it sooner or later.
That's right.
But yeah, man, what else going on, dude? We talked about Volkswagens. We talked about NASCAR. We obviously talked about your podcast, like
Yeah, that's
graphic design.
That's pretty much it, man. I do my day-to-day things and go home, take care of my plants, take care of my animals.
Yeah,
Got a lot of critters at home.
Yeah. You got a little.
I got goats, pigs, dogs, all sorts of shit.
Now the pigs, I forgot. Are they in-house?
No. So I have pigs that people bought in their house.
And then realize that they're not going to stay 30 pounds.
Yeah. So these people crossbreed these micro mini pigs, and they don't actually stay small, like 90% of the time.
Yeah.
So all the pigs I've had over the years have been pigs that people bought for like apartments, and they get to like 200 pounds.
Yeah.
So I end up adopting them, and they're great. They're great pets. They're super smart. But like I have like a 10 by 10 shed in my backyard and a separate pen for them, and they're awesome. They're smarter than my dogs half the time.
Yeah.
And I've had a number of them over the years. Unfortunately, they don't live long because they're crossbred with these like smaller breeds and a potbelly pig, and they get like oversized hearts, and they get like all these weird diseases and stuff.
Yeah, that sucks.
And it's definitely like a trickle down effect of these like morons that are trying to breed small pigs. And out of a litter they might get one or two that's a small pig, but they don't all stay small.
Yeah.
So but yeah, no, I got a couple pigs. The goats are great for like land clearing. I've got not a ton of land, but an acre and a half or so, and they eat all the poison ivy, they eat the briars.
Yeah.
The pig eats all my like waste scraps, like fucking anything I want to throw away, the pig eats. It's great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dude, like that's such a sad thing, like, because during COVID, so many people got pets.
Yes.
And now the shelters are overflown because people are going back to shit and they get rid of, like,
Yep.
dude,
It was so hard to get dogs last year.
I just don't take on an animal. This is common sense, and I would hope most of the people listening to this.
But it's fucking not, dude. Like,
don't take on an animal if you can't take on that fucking responsibility, like, for full time, for life.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Because,
I've had multiple dogs over the years that people like surrendered because it's like, oh, well, I had a life change or a housing change. It's like, if like something happened to me today and like my housing changed and like I needed a place to live, like I wouldn't fucking live somewhere that didn't allow my dogs. Like I'd live on the street with my dogs.
Yeah.
Before I fucking went somewhere I couldn't take my dogs,
But you got a unique situation with like my dogs, my pig, and my goats.
Well, that's a whole nother thing. But dogs in general, like that shit goes up my ass, man. Like,
I know, man.
Oh, it's crazy. Like especially like I'm big into hound dogs. Like I love beagles.
Yeah.
I've got a couple beagles, and people get them because they're super cute puppies, and they're dicks. Like they're fucking pain in the ass. But it's like, it's not like this isn't like a secret. Like fucking everybody knows they're a pain in the ass.
Yeah, do a little research on the breed.
Exactly.
Don't go buy a puppy because the puppy's cute. Look at the breed and see what it could potentially turn into.
They're great dogs.
All
Like
dogs have
if you have a person for the dog.
All breeds have characteristics.
Yep.
And they're pretty well known. And there's a good chance that your dog is going to fall into that range of characteristics somewhere on that spectrum.
Like I've got two beagles, and one is like the typical beagle, and one's a lot more chill. But you never know. But you have to be prepared for that. Like I just adopted a lab.
How are beagles dicks? Like I didn't know about that.
Well, they're just really stubborn.
Yeah.
They're super fucking stubborn. They're super food motivated. They bark a lot. Like I have one that's like the typical like noisy beagle, like that everyone's like, oh, I heard they howl and they bark a lot. Like, yeah, she does all those things.
Yeah.
She's a handful. But like I just adopted this like lab pit mix, which should be like a super energetic dog. And, we adopted her, around December, and she's like so chill.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if it's like we have 3 other dogs and they're all like 8 years old. Maybe she's like absorbing old dog energy or something.
Taking the cues, the cues from the other dogs.
But I mean, this dog should be like bouncing off the walls, and she's not. Like she's super chill. So you never know. But yeah, you got to be fully prepared for whatever situation you're going to put yourself in.
Yeah, man. It's sad, man, when people, to me, obviously, it's not like adopting a kid, but it ain't that far off to me. Like, I've never adopted a kid for that very fucking reason. Like,
yeah, me neither. Like I don't, my life has never, been in a position where like, I think I want a kid. So I haven't put myself in that position.
Yeah.
And the dogs, like that was one of the great guests on our show. We had my friend Andy and his girlfriend Melinda. They foster for Paws New England.
Okay.
And it was like wild hearing the stuff about that, man. Like their whole organization is in New England, but they work with the ones down south. So like the dog I got was from them.
All right. Let me ask you a question before we go on that.
Yeah.
Because I know a few people who have dogs from down south. Like, what the fuck is going on down
Dude.
south? Like, where like so many people in New England have like southern
Yes.
dogs, dude.
It's crazy. So like so many of these dogs are from like Tennessee, Alabama, and they're just like street dogs. Like you walk through like Knoxville or wherever, Tennessee, Alabama, the bigger cities. And these dogs get let go. Like, someone instead around here, like somebody wants to surrender a dog and we're like, yeah, fuck that. And they surrender him to a rescue or a pound. Like we have those resources up here in New England. Down there, they don't.
Oh, okay. All right.
They don't.
So that makes sense.
Or they do, but they're much more limited.
Yeah.
So unfortunately,
so
like
they're almost like not a clearinghouse, but a distribution. They'll take them,
Exactly.
then send them to somewhere
well,
else.
and the other thing is too, like the fact of the matter is, like up here, like like goats are working animals or agriculture, and down there, like dogs are the same thing. Like hounds are like hunting dogs. Like they live outside in a dog house. They don't have harsh winters. They're dogs for a purpose, and that's it.
Yeah.
My dogs are pets. Like I'm not hunting with my beagles. Let's be honest. But down there, like people hunt with their dogs. People are protecting their livestock with their dogs and their tools. And sometimes when that tool stops working, they just fucking open the door and the dog says, see ya.
Yeah,
And, they're not, spayed or neutered, and these dogs are reproducing in the wild. Like the dog that I got, they found a whole litter under like an abandoned building in Memphis.
Yeah.
And, this organization down there, they catch them. And the pounds down there, like, after 2 or 3 weeks, they just put them down. So organizations up in New England where people are looking to adopt dogs, they're bringing them up north. You know what's fucked up too with the state stuff? Like we were talking about the government overreaches. In Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, a few the other New England states, they don't let these dogs from up there, like the transportation companies, they're not allowed to bring the dogs in because they have to be like quarantined or checked or whatever. Basically, like what it is the breeders had lobbyists that fought this whole thing to get these rescue dogs in, and it prevents dogs from coming in. So like I had to drive to Connecticut to pick up my dog because they're not allowed to bring these rescue dogs into Massachusetts. It's fucking crazy, but it's the same thing. It's like if you can hire the right lobbyist and fight your case, then you're good.
Yeah. Yeah. And then set that as precedent or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like, it's also like that with what, what animal's illegal. Like for example,
Exactly.
like you can have a raccoon in Rhode Island. Can't have one in Massachusetts.
Nope.
It's like, why?
It's like a bunch of people have pet foxes, all that kind of shit.
Yeah. I think fennec foxes you can kind of have every. I know about all these like weird animals because I'll get obsessed for like for a while.
Dude,
with, like,
I'm fucking obsessed with otters. I want a goddamn otter so bad.
And you know what doesn't help is if you look on my Instagram, like if you look on like the things they suggest to you, it's all like weird animals and motorcycles on mine. Like on my personal page, it's like all right. Fucking bush babies, fucking otters.
Mine's otters, raccoons, and Volkswagens.
Raccoons, yeah. And I'm like, dude, I want to fucking chop raccoons so bad, dude. Like, I'm like, goddamn. I'm like, I just pray. Like, I got a family of fucking not gophers, groundhogs living under the storage our storage fucking bay back there.
Yep.
And there's like 4 of them running around, but I'm like, why can't you be raccoons? Fucking thing. Like baby raccoons. I want to take one of you in, like fucking.
Yeah, someone I know caught a raccoon recently, a little baby. It was unbelievable. They have like little human hands. It's very cool.
I just saw the video. Like once I saw the video of that, like there was like this like chubby raccoon sitting on someone's couch and it had like popcorn on its belly and it was just like eating the popcorn. Yep. I was like, that's what I want. One little motherfucker hang out like that.
I started following an otter page like that. I'm like, where the fuck can I have that? And I follow this.
Is it Awesome Otter?
No.
If you look up Awesome Otter, it's like another one. The dude has an otter as a pet, just hangs out with them. Like it just, they're another one they eat with their hands.
Yeah. They eat, they like, there's a videos of them eating like Cheerios out of a bowl with their hands. It's crazy.
It's so fucking funny.
There's a lady that has a bunch of foxes I follow too.
You know, you're only seeing the video of like the awesome shit, not all the bullshit they're getting into when they're not filming the bullshit. Like, because you know these motherfuckers are out this shit.
There is a Fox page I follow, and she films the bullshit.
Okay,
like she'll put like the videos like like it's not all fucking great having pet foxes in your house, and then just like shrouping shit. It's hilarious.
Yeah. Because I guess raccoons like they'll steal like whatever shiny shit they have, and then they'll like go hoard it. They get a little like
exactly
little treasure
like
trove, but then they fiercely protect it. Like even though it was like your shit, they're gonna like fight you for it. Like you know what I mean?
Crazy.
And I'm like, that's some bullshit I could kind of deal with though. Like it would suck in the moment, but I know I would be fucking hysterical. Like, you know, like,
you get a pile of fucking bolts.
Yeah.
This thing's blocking
that's what I mean.
you from.
Like, I don't care. Take a pile of bolts. Those are grade 8, motherfucker. Each one of those is like $1.
Well, that's like the pigs. Like so many people are like, oh yeah, like aren't you worried about like coyotes and fisher cats and stuff? Like those fucking pigs seem like pretty docile and slow moving, but they have these like big gnarly fangs, and I've seen them like get pissed at each other over food and stuff. I'm like, those pigs would fuck up a coyote, guaranteed.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And coyotes are opportunistic. Like, could they physically jump over my fence? Sure, but like, do they want to jump over my fence to try to kill that pig, or do they want to eat like a squirrel that they can get to?
Yeah,
you know,
exactly. Like a dead squirrel. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Well, pigs are the weird animal because when you have them domesticated, they're one thing.
Yeah.
And like within like months of them being released in the wild, they turn back into feral pigs and grow big fucking tusks and hair and shit. Like, and they look like wild boars at that point. Like, you know,
mine have huge fangs. Like they have like big lower fangs, and the hair's crazy too. Like I've had a few different kinds, because that's the thing with all these micro mini breeds. Like they're crossbred with so many different fucked up things.
Yeah.
And some have more hair than others. But like right now, the one that I have, he's like totally bald in the summer. Like he's got like a little mohawk because that's what he can't rub on the tree.
Yeah.
But like the other cool thing is like I feed him, all my friends, like when they get their jack-o'-lanterns, I'll give them pumpkin at the end of the season when they're all squishy, and he'll eat the pumpkin seeds, and then he shits them out and he plants his own pumpkin plants.
Yeah.
Or like squash, like, and
they're like fertilized.
Yeah. So he's taking
pumpkins?
dumps with seeds, and I'll get like wild pumpkin and wild squash. Like right now I have an apple tree from him, and he'll eat it and shit it out and plant it and grow it again. It's insane.
You get your own little micro fucking.
Yeah, it's like fucking biodome back there.
Biodome. Fucking and like, even though you know they're out back and they're bigger and they're not staying in the house now, they still like cool. Like you go hang out with them and shit.
Yeah. I've actually let him in the house a handful of times. Like the biggest like turn off of that is he can walk upstairs no problem, but like he can't fucking walk downstairs. Like his like weight ratio is fucked up, so like he gets weirded out walking downstairs. So like I have to pick him up when he's too heavy.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's come in the house. Like I let him out in the yard with the dog sometimes. But he digs holes like especially when it's hot out. He'll dig to like be in the cool dirt.
Yeah.
So, and he never digs like where there's no grass. Like he'll dig in the nice grass.
Yeah.
Or he'll dig like next to the fence or something.
What about the goats? Do they cause trouble?
No, I have them like in a separate area, and I put them like out. I have like an acre that's just all like overgrown wetlands and shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I can't build anything over there. Well, fuck off. I'm going to have goats over there. Like I'm going to do something with it.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I was like, I wanted a shop goat or a shop raccoon.
You should definitely get shop goats.
Yeah. So like, what do you got to do in the winter?
Do nothing. Like I have
you build like a shed for them?
I have a little shed, and I leave it open all the time so they can go in and out as they please. And
just put a bunch of hay or something in there?
They have nothing in there. So they have a bag of hay on the fence. I put like 2 chips of hay in that. Basically like a hay bale that you buy is like, you know, $10, and it'll have 8 or 10 chips in it. And like I put 1 or 2 chips in the bag, and they eat that once a day, and that's it.
So do you got it like fenced off? Or
Yeah, so I have like, they make these at Tractor Supply. You can get they're called like cattle panels. They're like 16 footers, I want to say. And I just do like the hammer and posts. So I have like those, and I have 4x4s like the main corners, and then I have like a hammer and post every 8 feet. But it's like pretty cheap to pen it off, and then you can move it. So it's like I keep expanding mine so they eat more stuff into my woods.
So you just basically they're mowing your lawn.
Oh yeah, like I have it in the woods, so it's like I have my lawn section, but they eat like all the poison ivy and briars and bullshit in the woods. It's awesome.
I want like a black metal looking goat. You know?
Yeah, I have 2. The ones I have are Nubian goats, so they're the bigger ones. Like most of like the, you know, quote unquote popular goats you see are like the the mini Nigerian goats.
Yeah.
Like those are the ones that you see like they use for like goat yoga and shit, like the tiny ones that will
Yeah.
stand on you. Mine are like big.
Yeah, yeah.
And they have like floppy ears, almost like beagle ears.
They want to like fight you and shit.
Yeah, so the boy, Nigel, they have like the crazy fucking death metal eyes where their pupils are going the wrong way and shit. It's pretty cool. But yeah, when you go in there, like I don't go in their pen often. So when I do, he like puts his head down and I put my head down and we mash our heads together.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking cool. Yeah, like he wants to like check me when I go in there.
That's funny.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's the other thing. Like I almost adopted these other two recently, but they call it debudding when they like fucking burn their horns off. And these two still have horns, but my two are idiots and they were debudded when they were like babies, so they have no idea the danger of it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, these other fuckers are gonna like poke my goat's eyes out and I'll feel bad about it. So
Yeah.
I haven't done it yet. But
Yeah. I like those. Do you
a
ever
whole
see
thing.
the fainting ones?
oh yeah, those are wild.
They just fucking pass out.
That's like an alpaca. Like, dude, that's so. I think it's fucking hilarious how they spit on people and shit.
Yeah.
But you got to shave them, and that's a whole. I don't need another chore. You know.
Yeah. Pretty much at this point, you could almost apply for like farm plates.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, I live in a town that's like pretty rural, like right to farm community. You know, like my neighbors all have chickens and roosters and bullshit. Like a lot.
Literally, if you got a couple chickens and you started selling the eggs out front, you could get farm.
Oh yeah,
plates. And then, like,
yeah.
you
That's
know,
the thing too. Like my goats don't produce. Like I don't have like goat milk producing goats.
Yeah.
And there's a whole thing where like if you have like an intact male with a female, the female will produce milk. I don't even get into that because it's like that's another fucking chore. Like I have enough shit going on.
Yeah. You're adopting animals like to help them out. Like you're not trying to.
Exactly.
There was a dude that used to come in here and I think he does the goat yoga. Like he doesn't do it. His wife does like the goat yoga, but he does goats.
We've talked about this guy.
He's right up the road.
Yeah.
But he'll do like you said, like he takes goat milk and makes like ice cubes out of it for dogs. It says it's like wicked healthy.
Yeah, that's Patches Hill Farm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
good dude.
Yeah, he's awesome, Jake. Yeah, so
but he used to work at the pet shop.
Yep.
Like the pet food store called the Pet Shop.
Yep. So he does the dog treats with the frozen goat milk and all sorts of shit. Yeah, he's a great guy.
I haven't seen him in a while. He might have sold his bike or something.
Yeah, no, he still got it.
Okay.
Yeah, he there's something. I think he had like a surgery or something. He had like a hip surgery, so he couldn't ride for a while.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that explains it then.
He's still around though. Great dude. Yeah. Patches Hill Farm if you want some fucking goat shit.
Yeah, you want some goat milk ice cubes. You can hit him up.
Some fucking goat milk
Or
cubes.
if you want to do yoga and have goats crawl all over you.
Yep, exactly.
Hit them up if you're in southeastern Massachusetts, you know.
Yep.
But yeah, man, fucking. Where can people find out, like, you know, more about the podcast, or like, you know, give some of the social media shit and everything? So
yeah, so you can find specific information about my show, Topics Under the Stairs, on Instagram. It's at Topics Under the Stairs, all, you know, one word, no space, no underscores or anything. If you want to hear more about Revival Motoring in general as the network and the car specific stuff, it's just at Revival Motoring. You know, I'm just John Stairs on Instagram, no H in John. I keep that pretty updated. I don't really use other social media much, just Instagram.
yeah. Now, I know your last name is Stairs.
Yeah.
And I think I already talked to you about this, but for the people listening, because someone's going to have a question, where'd you come up with Topics Under the Stairs? Is that an homage to the old horror movie People Under the Stairs?
Exactly. So I wanted something. I wanted it to be, you know, like something with Under the Stairs, because it's just a fucking weird name. It just seemed to make sense, like with something with a name, and that was the first thing that came to mind. I'm into old horror movies, so Topics Under the Stairs just made sense. It was a play on my name, and it was open enough where we could, you know, kind of talk about whatever. So
there you go.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, man. Well, hey, thanks for coming on. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, I think we said it all.
I know we could go, but I know you're catching a flight early in the morning. I feel bad, like, because I know we're encroaching here. But yeah,
Good.
man, yeah. So give him a follow. Listen to his podcast. Big shout outs to him and Ryan on Topics Under the Stairs, and Josh and all the Revival Motoring motherfuckers. And Josh is responsible partly responsible for me being able to even do this podcast, or really responsible, man. You know what I mean? Showing me the way on how to get things started up. So big respect. And yeah, we're going to end it right here.